Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
So after a fun Eagles win, we got to actually talk football for 2 days. Then we had the drama of the Sixers yesterday. I blinked. It's Thursday, Johnny. We are a couple days away from Eagles-Bengals.
And I'm confused.
Same, but it's a measuring stick for not just the team, but the quarterback. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
I don't give a damn that it was just the Giants. It was the Saquon show. It was amazing to watch.
Him and the entire team, they just dominated an opponent. And that's what everyone is asked to see.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Thursday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, can't believe it's Thursday already. Good morning.
I can't believe it is either.
Dude, I honestly, it hit me yesterday.
On the ride in?
No, yesterday it hit me when I heard, I was listening to the station, and I think it was one of the updates from Ray or Silvana, and somebody mentioned, week 8. And I was like, oh my God, week 8. Like, we're almost midway through.
Every time I hear week 8, and I hate to be one of those people because I don't like it when people do it during the summer. Don't rush my summer.
Right.
I like summer. Don't rush football season. And then during football season, I say, you sound like just as big a whine.
I can't believe it is already week 8.
No, I can't believe it.
It's unbelievable. I mean, that's the beauty of football from a league standpoint, how they make it so fast-paced, right? Because you have a Thursday night game.
Right.
Before we know it, we'll have Black Friday and all the other, days of the week when they start playing football.
You'll have to shop. I won't.
I won't. Or you
No,
won't.
I
will.
You'll have to shop.
But it's just crazy how fast this league flies by.
And more importantly, the mystery remains. 6 games in, the mystery remains.
Yeah, I mean, who is
and
this
that's where we go
team?
today.
I mean,
that's
we
where we start today.
literally talked about it yesterday,
And who are
John.
the players?
We talked about it yesterday, or last week, whether or not we're talking about a good team or a bad team. And then they beat up on the Giants, right? They beat them up 28-3. And for the first time all season, we kind of had that, all right, we're not as tense. Right? The weight is off our shoulders.
Yeah.
We finally saw them beat up on a bad opponent, and I know there were people that pointed out that it was just the Giants, but I will retort by saying if they didn't beat up the Giants, you'd be the first person to say, oh, they could barely beat the Giants. So the fact that they did beat up the Giants kind of put us all at ease, because if it was another 4-point victory like it was against Cleveland, we'd be saying that this team had some deep-rooted issues. They beat them up. It was a nice, refreshing week. But it's time to turn our attention to the Eagles-Bengals. And, John, you were talking about this before the show, and I'm with you, brother. I have no feel in this game either.
I got to tell you, I can't remember going back further where I have no feel for a game. And part of it is the opponent, because I truly don't know what the Bengals are. They've been a mixed bag. They've been a mixed bag for a few years now. And I don't think I know what the Eagles are versus a strong opponent on the road. We're going to find out. But I'm very optimistic. It's not like I have a feeling of negativity towards the game, but I have a feeling of just like there's like a fog of not knowing what to expect.
Right.
And I hate that. That's the worst part. Like, I can tell. My mug this morning, the Flyers. Look, I can tell. And I didn't have any expectations of the Flyers being a good team this year. So to me, it's no big deal. For the Eagles, not knowing late October bothers me a bit.
Yeah, and look, the team themselves have told you they don't know, because Nick Sirianni still says that they don't know what their true identity is. He was saying it again yesterday that their identity changes week to week, and I think that's a horrible thing to say,
bothers me
a
big
horrible
time.
belief to have. But I'll say this, I believe both teams are better than what we've seen so far. Like, the Eagles are 4-2, and which is better than 3-4, which is what the Bengals are.
No question.
Record aside, I think the Eagles are still a better team than what we have seen, because I'm still waiting for the offense to start turning that corner. Now, I could wait all season and it never happened, but I still believe with the talent on this team and seeing that they have kind of relied on the run a little bit more the last 2 weeks, they have simplified the offense a little bit more the last 2 weeks. I expect this offense to look more smooth, and we've seen a great defense so far. The Bengals being 3-4 is basically a lie to you. Horrible loss to the Patriots week 1. when they
Terrible.
lost 16-10. That was
At home.
Yeah, that was a horrible loss.
That's a bad loss.
That they could look back on come December saying, damn, we could have won the division or we could have had a better seed, a better matchup if we had won that game.
I won my survivor pool last year. Won the survivor pool. Lost due to the freaking
because
Bengals.
of that game from week one. But then they lose by a point to the Chiefs, which was an amazing game. If you remember, I mean, that game was, again, going down to the wire. They lose to the Commanders, which we find out the Commanders might be a pretty good team. The Panthers they beat up on. The Ravens was the best game of the year. It goes to overtime. They lose 41-38. Like, that's nobody's fault. But then they barely beat the Giants and they barely beat the Browns, just like the Eagles barely beat the Browns, but the Eagles beat up on the Giants. So I still think the Bengals record does not tell you who this team really is. Joe Burrow has been playing a lot better over the last couple of weeks, which is kind of scary. But I think both of these teams haven't reached their ceilings yet this year.
I don't either. When I looked at that, and it's funny because that's what I looked at yesterday, Goober Boy was looking at Bengals, Ravens, and Bengals Chiefs. They played really well against two of the better teams in football.
Did. Yeah.
That scares me.
Yeah, they played down to their opponent in a lot of other games.
And that makes me wonder, are the Eagles a team that they're incredibly up for? Well, I would consider a team that they're going to go, hey, we're at home. We got a chance to get back to 500.
Yeah.
We got to be up for the Eagles. And the Eagles have enough star power to do that. But honestly, I think I go back to this. If Nick Sirianni doesn't call or they don't decide to pass the ball against the Falcons, I really believe we're sitting here 5-1 today feeling completely different and going, I like this team. This team's looking good. They're going into Cincinnati and they should win it.
Yeah, we could probably be
and
saying
maybe that's where we should be. But there's lots of things that we'll talk about in this matchup.
But
and honestly,
you know what I've said too, because we've had a lot of callers and tweeters and texters make that point. I've also responded with, if one thing goes the other way for another team, like if the Packers don't get stopped with 2 field goals in the first quarter of that game.
But that's something that the Eagles did well.
Correct.
The Packers fans aren't saying, man, that one play call, that stupid decision we made cost us the Eagles game.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles won that game. Like the Eagles won that game.
That's fair.
I think the Eagles lost the Falcons game. They won it. I don't think the Falcons won it.
Right.
I think the Eagles lost it.
Oh, I could say if was it Olave or Shaheed, one of them who beat Quinyon Mitchell in the double move in the Saints game.
Yeah, but that's not a bad. That's not a
in
bad.
the end zone.
Yeah, but
it's a touchdown. You know,
plays are different. It's a bad decision that cost you a game.
The defense did still allow them to go 80 yards in a minute, so I can't say they lost the game. They lost it on offense.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have had. They shouldn't have had that extra 33 seconds to go the length of the field.
You're right.
I mean, that's a dumb
but
decision.
I'm just saying, like I can easily say, yeah, but they could have lost this game if this thing happened or if this thing happened. But I hear your point, plays versus coaching decisions. By the way, that was the voice of Brendan Gunn. Brendan, good morning.
What's up, Gunner?
Connor's off for the next couple of days because of his brother's wedding, which is a pretty big deal. So, Brendan, thanks for filling in for him today. So, not only are we going to talk Eagles-Bengals today, we're going to obviously focus a lot more on the game tomorrow. But today, it's kind of that weird feeling of not knowing who the Eagles are and who the Bengals are. I do believe that both teams haven't hit their ceilings yet. But let's focus a little bit more on quarterback v. quarterback, if you want to. Our question today regarding this upcoming game at 610-632-0975, you can text it, you can call in. Is this Sunday a measuring stick game for you when it comes to Jalen Hurts because he is going up against Joe Burrow? So the conversations on social media have been interesting, John, because a lot of people like to compare Hurts with Burrow, Hurts with Allen. There's always comparisons.
Do you have and just to set a groundwork for the conversation, you don't have a problem with that, right?
No, I don't have a problem with it.
Because they should compare them.
Right, but
he's paid like them.
Yep.
He's a franchise quarterback like them. He should be compared to them.
But the comparisons are always different depending on what people are trying to say.
Okay, give me an example.
People keep on pointing out that Jalen Hurts has a better record than Joe Burrow, which is true. The Eagles are 4-2. The Bengals are 3-4.
That is true.
Joe Burrow has 14 touchdown passes to 2 interceptions. His quarterback rating is 110.1 this year.
I'd say that's pretty good.
The beginning of the season was a rocky start for Joe Burrow, but he has since turned it around dramatically. Jalen Hurts, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks, so less touchdown passes, double the interceptions. Quarterback rating is 7 points lower. Joe Burrow, I think you can make the case, is having a better season. And I
think he's clearly having a better season as a quarterback. And his decision-making, though, do you think he's having a better season? Because that's where I think a lot of the discussion, the debate will come to.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, he's got
as far as turning the ball over.
70% completion percentage.
Very good.
Less interceptions,
Correct.
right? And so Joe Burrow technically is having a better season, even though Jalen Hurts has more wins this year because they're 4-2. You know how I feel, John, when it comes to comparisons this year. I'm not doing it. So if Jalen Hurts goes out there and hands the ball off 30 times again, and the Eagles win or lose, but Joe Burrow throws for 4 touchdown passes, my comparison to Jalen Hurts to Joe Burrow means nothing because the Eagles will win by playing their style of football, or they'll lose if they go against the style of football that I believe that they're doing. So I'm going to stand by it. I'm not using this Sunday's game as some sort of measuring stick because I don't want to try to put Jalen Hurts in some sort of stratosphere that I don't think he belongs. Right? I don't think Jalen Hurts is a quarterback that I want to drop back 40 times a game and try to win you a football game. I want this offense more simplified. I want this offense to be a run-first offense. I want him to be careful with the football. Whereas a guy like Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, they can try to take some couple of risks because I think that their arms allow them to do that. So, no, I am not using it as a measuring stick game for Jalen Hurts, but I imagine a lot of people are.
How does it make you feel? Like, it's so weird, and it's one of the things that I'm glad about that we don't do the show before the show. I didn't expect you to spit that out there. So this sort of goes a different direction in my brain.
Okay.
How do you feel about what you just said? I want them to be you got Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
You're paying him like Joe Burrow. You're paying him like Josh Allen. You're paying him like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But you don't want him to be like any of those guys.
No, because I think what he does, we talked about Lamar Jackson yesterday. Why Lamar Jackson's a 2-time MVP. Why can't I say I want Jalen Hurts to be more like Lamar Jackson?
I want him to be more, but I want him to be. Can I count on him to be as like productive?
I think so. Like, if they have the right offense, and again, it kind of goes back to.
I mean, Lamar right now, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
I mean,
but I think their offense is perfect for him, whereas I'm still confused by what the Eagles are trying to do. So sometimes...
So you're not putting this on Hurts.
No, I think it's a collective issue. Like, they don't throw the football over the middle of the field, which I still can't believe, and I don't know if that's a Hurts issue or if that's a game planning issue, an analytic issue. I don't know what it is.
Do you think Hurts can be those guys in the right offense?
Yeah. Because I think he's a dynamic player.
Okay.
I still think he's a top 10 quarterback.
It's weird because I think I'm trying to think of a Philadelphia athlete, highest paid on his team, leader of the organization, that we ever say we want him to do less than more. Like, we never put that on a guy we'll talk about later in Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
We never put it on Bryce Harper.
Mm-hmm.
We never put it on. It's almost like with Jalen Hurts, we're saying, whoa. Let's not have as many expectations on the guy. And this is a city that puts unrealistic expectations on it. This is a city full of Flyer fans that don't understand what a freaking rebuild is.
Right.
Like, I mean, this city does not put realistic expectations on almost anything, but I feel it. And I'm not criticizing your point of view. I'm just saying we should expect more than we're getting.
We should, but if he's really good at what they've done, the last 2 weeks, they have, I'm not going to say taken the ball out of his hands, but the last 2 weeks they have simplified the offense. And he's been very, very good. He's been very, very effective in his style of offense the last 2 weeks. Just because, look, I understand the contract, but if he's elite at certain aspects of the game, I'd rather them focus on what he's elite at.
What do you
and
think
not
he's
have
elite
him,
at?
I think the offense where they're the threat to run all the time, it's not just the play breaks down and then he can run so that a defense has to have a spy on him at all times.
But are they is that because of Saquon Barkley?
Whatever's best for the team. Like I understand he's getting paid $250 million. That's the running market for quarterbacks, right? Especially of his age and the success that he had. He has had more success than some of the other quarterbacks that got paid the contracts that they had. But if he's very good at certain aspects of the game, if there is a style of offense that he can excel in, that Saquon Barkley can excel in, and that it will eventually open up for other guys downfield like Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown can have production in any style of offense that they run. He's a beast. I'd rather do what's best for the team at this point instead of trying to value Jalen Hurts' contract. I
love what you're saying. I just feel like, man, we never approach star athletes like this. We never ever. This is a unique way to look at a star athlete.
Well, if he throws an interception in his 14 pass attempts, I'm going to be livid. I need him to. It's weird. I get where you're coming from. It sounds like I'm saying I need him to do less.
No, and Gunnar, be the navigator on this a little bit. Is that because that's what I'm hearing? And a lot of times, though, people will hear the same thing and hear something different. Is that what you hear when you hear Andrew say that?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on this one. I do want him to go out there and be a Burrow. I do want him to go out there and be a Mahomes. Not necessarily in the same style of play, but I want him to reach that level of quarterback where he's elite.
What if he's not? Like, what if they found something the last two games that has won them 2 football games where the offense has looked better than it has basically all season long?
I think you can beat the Browns and you can beat the Giants with Jalen Hurts going out there and throwing 14 times. I don't know if you're stringing together 3 games in a row in January and February with him only throwing 14 times.
I've said all week, 14 times is, I think that's going to be the outlier.
Like, and you have
I'm saying 25 to 30 throws, right? And limit the throws downfield. Limit these chunk plays that they obsess over. And that's an organizational philosophy. But then Hurts himself has to make the right throws. Great that A.J. Brown scored that touchdown on the 4th and 3. Great. Glad that it happened. The previous play, Devontae Smith, they drew up a play to get him open in space. He was wide open. He's got to make that throw.
He had 5 yards of daylight to run.
Saquon Barkley in the flat on the goal line is a touchdown pass where Mark freaking Sanchez is screaming it as the play is unfolding. And this is not a Hurts didn't see him. Hurts was looking at him, just like Jahan Dotson earlier this year. He was staring at Jahan Dotson and then did the trust me throw to Devontae Smith that was intercepted by Tyrann Mathieu. I'm not saying I want Jalen Hurts to do less in terms of, I want him to hand the ball off 40 times. I'm just saying I think this offense needs to be predicated more toward what his skill set can get them to an elite style of offense.
I love being a run-first offense for the Eagles. What I do wonder is sort of where Gunnar took the conversation there a little bit. Are we just doing things in October and November that will stack up wins that in no way prepare them to win in January?
Right, and that's what Connor was saying the other day too.
And I do wonder, but think of it this way. Let's say it is January. I'm just looking at the standings now. Mm-hmm. Let's say you win the NFC East. You're like the 3 seed. And you have to play like the Packers in the playoffs. You've already beaten the Packers. I think you could beat the Vikings with a run-first offense. But can you beat – then you go, could you beat could you beat the Falcons? Yeah, I think you could. I think it's weird, is that I believe they can win. The last 2 weeks, people will say, it was just the Browns, just the Giants. I think with that game plan, there's other teams you could beat. And almost everyone – the only team I don't think you could beat with that game plan is probably the Lions.
Yeah, but you know what? What do the Lions do?
The Lions do run it.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, they do. No, but they make
it's funny. We do the whole, well, the Eagles have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. You can't be a run-first offense with those weapons. Guys, the Lions have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a stud. They have Sam Laporta, who's a great tight end. And if Jamison Williams can get his head on straight,
he's out this week.
Right.
He's never making the Baseball Hall of Fame.
No, he's not. I saw that. Yeah, you see that. But between Gibbs and Montgomery, they go, no, this is our strength. Our offensive line. Their offensive line is the Eagles' offensive line. If not more talented.
No. I think it's better.
So let's say they're both top 5 offensive lines in the NFL.
Yes, they're both top 5.
They both have great running backs. They both have great wide receivers. They both have great tight ends. Why is it okay for the Lions to have a run-first offense? But when I suggest that here, it's, Oh, no. You can't do that with Jalen Hurts. Jared Goff is getting paid that kind of money. Jared Goff is excelling in this style of offense. Why would you not want your quarterback to excel in the offense that they can provide for you?
And what I like about it is that I believe Jalen Hurts is the kind of guy that is not a selfish SOB.
I don't think so either, yeah.
I think he would be totally fine executing an offense that puts the ball more at low risk and allows the running game. I don't think he's going to be upset to have an attack where they're leading with the running game.
Right.
Jared Goff doesn't have a problem with it. Jared Goff talks about it every week. He thinks it's the least pressure he's ever felt. Jared Goff, he's commenting the other day. I saw it on NFL Live. He comments about something and he goes, honestly, this is the least pressure I felt running an offense.
Why wouldn't you want that for Hurts?
I know it is. It is what I want.
No, I'm not saying you, but there are people out there that hear these things, run first offense, game manager.
And look at it as negative.
And they go, oh, my God, here we go. We're bashing Jalen. No, he's looked better in the last 2 games because of what they have done with the offensive game plan after the first quarters, of course. Stick with it. Why wouldn't you want Jalen Hurts to say what Jared Goff is saying? I've never been more comfortable. Let's stay comfortable. All right. Is Sunday a measuring stick game for you when it comes to Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow? I talk so much, I never got your answers on it, so I want to hear from you two at 6 on the microphones.
There we go.
And then I want to hear from the people at 610-632-0975. Also, coming up next, night 1 reaction. Sixers lose to the Bucks. It's just a bummer because Embiid and Paul George doesn't play. You'll hear from Tim Legler, who joined Mike Missanelli yesterday, and he said something that is in line to what John Kincade has been saying. Sherlock John. You'll hear from him next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports.
5:31 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Happy Thursday morning.
It is a happy Thursday.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good day today.
Nice day.
Just bummer for the Sixers last night. We'll get back to our Eagles conversation in a little bit. Again, our main topic today is, are you using this game as a measuring stick for Jalen Hurts up against Joe Burrow? I want to get your thoughts on that, John, coming up in a little bit. But the Sixers lose to the Bucks last night, 124-109. They actually played well to start the game. They were up a point to end the first quarter.
Yeah, one quarter was actually entertaining.
Yeah, and then the Bucks roll in the second and the third quarter. You know, you kind of expect that. I did not like the starting lineup last night at all.
Tell me why.
I was not expecting Kenyon Martin and Eric Gordon to both be in the starting lineup, and I understand it. You know, ultimately it's who's on the court at the end of the game. I would have started Lowry in that spot alongside Tyrese Maxey because of this reason. They've played together. Look, again, the start of the game wasn't the problem. The Sixers end up leading after the first quarter, but I would have done a little bit different in starting five. But it was nice to see Caleb Martin produce the way that he did off the bench. Like, they have guys that are going to be coming off the bench that will be contributing for them this year, and that's something that's exciting.
Okay, I get it. Again, the starting lineups don't bother me as much. Like that, you know, and I think you made it clear there.
It doesn't matter at the start. It's just from the jump. Like when I saw that lineup, I was like, we're in for a rough one.
What I'm gonna say is that I watch it and I wonder how serious an organization the Sixers are.
What do you mean?
How serious they are about, like, everything is taken with such nonchalance. Yeah. It's the beginning of the season. It doesn't matter. It's so weird because you get mad at fans who say, wake me up at the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't anymore. I've told you.
No, I understand. I mean, you understand where they're coming from.
Yeah,
you don't like that attitude.
I just don't. I don't like it when Joel Embiid drops 70 points, and
okay.
That's the first caller I get the next day.
Well, what I'm going to say to you is the Sixers have created those fans, and I think it struck me last night.
All right, what happened?
Because the Sixers have no urgency. There's no urgency about anything that they do. Oh. There's no urgency about, we're not going to tell you what's going on with Joel Embiid. We're going to just we're going to take it easy, and it's a long season, and we're ramping up. And they play with 57 games last night. I saw I'm stealing this from Malika Andrews' show. Mm-hmm. 56 games, excuse me. Let me make sure I got the number right because I wrote it down. 56 games. Do you know the Celtics played together last year at 82, 56?
What, their starters?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
like together.
Yeah, Joel Embiid was hurt.
I understand. No, I understand. But that wasn't the only thing, too, is their guys tend to play. I think they had 7 guys play 70.
Yeah, because they're also healthy, and they're not. They're not big men with.
But the thing is,
knee issues.
They're also not giving it. Well, that's the issue, is that we're talking about a big man with an issue that they say is not injured.
Right.
They're not serious. They're not a serious organization with this stuff. I mean, they have Nick Nurse sitting up there telling us pregame that
there's no injury. It's just part of the plan.
And this is part of the plan. But we're not going to tell you what the plan is.
Well, maybe they don't want you to know.
Plan. That is why the
competitive advantage, as Nick Sirianni says.
That's why the NBA's launched an investigation. Now, I talked to somebody well-placed last night who literally said to me, it was Embiid's comments on "I'm not playing back-to-backs." Mm-hmm. That has never been done by a player saying, "Oh, by the way, here's going to be my load management." That's part of what the NBA is pissed about. And also, too, they're pissed that they're saying he's not injured and that he's missing the first 3 games of the season.
Well, no, the investigation's also because last night's game was on national TV, and there's certain rules that I saw. Somebody tweeted it out yesterday. Like, here's the explanation as to the investigation. It's not as big of a deal as what we're making it out to be.
It's more. Now you see, my source tells me it was more than that.
Okay,
that it is more than that. They're not happy with the way this organization just dances around things and plays subterfuge.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's clearly been issues between the organization and the league ever since the process.
And they're not being targeted here.
No, they broke protocol
And if you're
or
telling
whatever
me,
you want to call
and
it.
if you're saying that Joel Embiid is not, there's no new injury, and he's just not playing, the league is coming down on them and saying, like, what the frick are you doing?
Yeah.
And so to me, I look at the starting lineup last night and look at everything, and I go, you know what? Because I get pissed at fans who do that. Wake me up at the playoffs. I don't like it. Even though, in my mind, my expectations probably sit with those people.
Right.
I hate it because I'm always thinking I could miss the 70-point game.
Right, you don't want to miss that, and then
I could miss an 11-game win
And if you do
streak.
watch it, just badmouth it the whole time, which I don't get.
And I don't get that either.
So yesterday, our man Tim Legler joined the Mike Missanelli show yesterday, and I want to play 2 clips for you because I think the first one is exactly how we're all feeling, and it's the deflating start to a season like last night when Joel Embiid and Paul George are both out.
The expectations are high, so to go into the year, and it's not something new that all of a sudden, Joel Embiid looked great for 2 preseason games when he was out there and then rolled his ankle, and you're like, oh, okay, it's going to take a couple of weeks here at the start. You can kind of wrap your head around that. Wrapping your head around something that is still so vague and so hard to figure out really what exactly he's dealing with and what the plan is going to be, how often you're going to see him this year. That's deflating for the organization as you head into a new year, adding a guy like Paul George when the expectation and excitement should be through the roof.
And he's spot on. Like, it's not like this was something where it happened during training camp and you have a timeline. Like, we don't have a timeline. We're just told he's going to miss the first week, but we don't know why he's going to miss the first week. They're telling us ramp-up period. We don't necessarily know.
Ramp up from what?
Exactly. So here's Leg saying something that you have been saying, John, to your credit, that Tim Legler believes this is an injury that is still going on since the Knicks series last year.
For me, it seems like this is something that's more connected to what he dealt with at the end of the year. And that's really troublesome if you're already dealing with that. Now, if I'm wrong, and this is a situation where you're just talking about preservation, it's incredibly bizarre that preservation starts the first week of the season. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That's why I'm leaning the other direction.
Yeah, and I'm with you and Tim Legler.
He played in the Olympics with an injury, I think, is what Tim believes. And it's what I think any rational person now has to believe.
Yeah, it's what we didn't want. Why we didn't want him to play. Look, I understand.
That was one of the reasons.
Look, pride and
come on.
and self-satisfaction. I understand why he would want to play it. But
I know why he'd want to play
exactly.
it.
But there's people should also understand why you and I did not want him to play in it.
Yes, because
of this.
And more importantly, he did barter himself around to it was the third country that took him. He bartered himself around with, he was willing, remember, he was willing to play for France.
No, I know.
I don't think the other 2 said no, so I don't think
they did. No, France
himself.
did. Yes, they did say no.
They said no.
Yes, France, he sent a letter. You can go read it. He sent a letter to France and said, if you tell me I have a guaranteed spot, I'll sign on the dotted line right now, and I won't play for anybody else. He did.
All right, well,
and they didn't sign it
because I don't want to get lost in the conversation.
No, I get you.
Whether he played for Cameroon, France,
I
USA.
just don't want to hear. I don't want to hear. I'm proud to be an American because it's the biggest load of crap that we've been fed about this Olympics.
But that's not that. The point of the matter is, no matter what country he played for, we didn't want him to play in the Olympics.
No, we didn't want
USA,
him to play.
France,
he was injured.
Cameroon, China. Like we didn't want him to play in the Olympics because of what's happening right now.
Because he was injured during the playoffs.
Exactly.
And he literally didn't get better.
Yes,
and he's still banged up because he went and did something he didn't have to do, and he put his secondary concerns ahead of his primary concerns, which is everybody who roots for the red, white, and blue of the Sixers. Period. It was damn selfish, is what it was. It was selfish.
And so now we're going to play Sherlock John.
Okay, here we go.
Because you heard something yesterday from Tyrese Maxey that raised some alarms.
And Austin Krell, the fine Austin Krell, was the one to get this audio out there. And strangely, it wasn't in the transcripts of the post-game commentary last night. This is Tyrese Maxey when he was asked about how hard it was last night to go out there and try to win when you're playing without Joel Embiid and Paul George.
We played one game. I know. So I'm not about to sit here and say that just because Joe was out, that he played bad. I mean, yes, we did not win the game, which is the ultimate the goal. But we've been without Joe all preseason, all training camp for the most part. He's been ramping up, so we have to go out there and execute what we worked on. I mean, it's not just this team is not us winning. It can't be solely on Joel Embiid. It just can't.
That is
what caught your ear there, Johnny?
He was out for all. We didn't have him for all of training camp and all of the preseason. What does that tell you?
He's ramping up, John.
He's not ramping up to anything because he wasn't ramping up.
That's what the team's telling me.
No, Tyrese Maxey is a truth teller. He isn't going to get up there and lie. He told the truth. He just told everybody there. Didn't have him in the preseason. We didn't have him for all of training camp.
Most of training camp.
Yeah, most of training camp.
Because they did the excursion training camp.
Yeah, exactly. Now, guess what? You're a truth teller, Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, so, look, is Joel Embiid hurt?
So what's he ramping up towards? He's not ramping towards anything.
No, I know. And so that's the scary part of this conversation when people try to poo-poo the fact that he's out just for the first 3 games of the season. There's probably something going on. Now, again, I'm trying to keep myself grounded because if he ends up playing 55 games, he played 55 games, Johnny. But I understand why anybody would hear that, especially you, Sherlock John, and go, we got a problem on our hands. All right, we get your text messages next. You can climb in 610-632-0975. Eagles conversation. Is this a measuring stick game for Jalen Hurts going up against Joe Burrow? And Sixers conversation. Is Joel Embiid hurt and are we being lied to? It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
There won't be any...
97.5 The Fanatic. We check the text line in a minute. John, I want to get your answer because you reacted so much to what I said in the first segment that I want to hear what you
Well,
have
that
to
means
say.
how compelling you were.
I'm glad that I could be compelling every once in a while.
I got a partner that's very compelling.
I have a lot to say. Is this Sunday a measuring stick game for Jalen Hurts going up against Joe Burrow? I say no. I just want them to keep on doing what I've seen them do the last 2 weeks, which is simplified offense, just make the right play. I don't need him to be Superman out there. Whereas Joe Burrow, we have seen, can be Superman. So can Jalen Hurts, but I think that's his style of quarterback play where maybe Jalen Hurts doesn't have to do that and they can still win because of his ability to run, because of his ability to get the ball out, needing to get the ball out quicker because he still takes longer than most quarterbacks to throw the football. I might need him to get the ball out quicker. I think they can excel certain areas of Jalen Hurts' game. What are you using Sunday for, John?
I'm using it as a team measuring stick.
Okay.
Because, again, I don't expect Jalen Hurts to look better than Joe Burrow on Sunday. I just don't. And that is not a slam at Jalen Hurts. I think that the Eagles.
By the way, some people would.
No, I think the Eagles' game plan to me, I'm not going to go on the statistics line and say, man, Burrow threw for 85 more yards than Hurts.
Right.
He had a better day. Because I know that Jalen Hurts can have a better day than Joe Burrow. Not throwing the stat line doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I'm using it as a team measuring stick though because I was going to save this for tomorrow, but I'll spurt it out.
Go for it.
I have a feeling you're not winning the division if you lose on Sunday, and that's a little dramatic.
Might be
just your third loss, but if the Commanders find their way by the Bears. With Marcus Mariota at quarterback, I got a feeling they're winning the division.
Yeah,
they have an easy schedule. Now you could sweep them and maybe find a way, but I don't think there's anything we've seen out of the Eagles that right now would say to you they're sweeping the Commanders, and you'd have to sweep the Cowboys, and nothing about the Eagles' history tells me they're sweeping the Cowboys.
Right. I think I look at it more like the Commanders will lose this game, and so if the Eagles lose this game,
well, you wake up in first place on Monday if you do.
Right.
Like to me, I'm using this as a measuring stick. Is I hope the Eagles have the desperation and the urgency to go and win this game because if they do, I think it totally flips the division race.
Okay.
Because this is one that we all sort of penciled in the beginning of the year, going, it's going to be a tough place to win.
And look, they know what people were saying about them, that it was just the Giants and just the Browns, even though we weren't saying that because by the way, we celebrated those victories.
The Bengals fans are hearing it too. I'm doing
same
Cincinnati radio later today with a guy that I know, and he goes, yeah, we just beat the Browns and we beat,
so they're saying the same
They're saying the same thing, yeah.
All
and
right.
they are much more, by the way, they are much more negative on their team. They are much more negative on their team than we are on ours. They're very frustrated.
They also had the Jamar Chase stuff before the season started.
They're very frustrated, and they hate their ownership.
Their ownership group, yeah,
they
exactly.
hate their ownership.
Like I feel great about Jeffrey Lurie.
So
I can only imagine what it's like to have a bad owner.
They feel terrible about their ownership and everything like that. So, but I'll try to make Cincinnati feel like crap.
Good
later today.
Yeah, make them feel worse. I appreciate
will. I'm going to make them feel awful.
All right, Gunnar, what do we have on the text line? You can text and you can call on 610-632-0975. Sixers conversation, do you feel like you're being lied to? But the Eagles discussion, are you using Sunday's game as a measuring stick for Jalen Hurts because he's going up against Joe Burrow? What do you got?
Yeah, we got Scott from Florida checking in, sort of kind of expanding on the measuring stick conversation like John just did. Scott said, I don't think this game is as much of a measuring stick for Jalen Hurts as it is for the Eagles as a whole. Seeing as the Bengals are the fullest team they'll play in the recent 4-game stretch, I'm curious to see how both sides of the ball will complement each other, in particular how the young secondary goes against T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, look, that's a very fair point. I mean, full disclosure, we have another show to do tomorrow. So it's probably going to be more Eagles team versus Bengals team, right, tomorrow. So Today we're focusing more on the quarterbacks, but I totally get what that texter's saying because I will agree with them that if the Eagles lose by X amount of points and it's an ugly game, we will have the thought creep into our mind that they beat just the Giants and they beat just the Browns. Like, I think that is a natural feeling that will creep into everybody's mind. So I totally get where he's coming from.
As long as I got to tell you, as long as they don't go and lose a game where they look garbage.
Like the Bucs game.
Right. They look like garbage. If they go out and they play really, really well,
Right.
I'm not going to overreact.
Yeah, we can't
I
cry
won't
at every
overreact.
loss.
Right, exactly.
But I get where that texter's coming. All right, what else we got?
Got a nameless guy checking in on the Sixers conversation. He says, if you were Joel Embiid, who's injured year after year come playoff season, and these are your two options, go to the Olympics and win a gold medal, or start the regular season injured again and probably be banged up the rest of his career in the regular season, I think he'll end up being much happier that he won an Olympic gold than starting the regular season healthy.
That's great. And I hope you realize then he's giving you a middle finger. Like, I hope that texter is, like, it's so funny is I got a buddy of mine who was a huge, I call him the Embiid bot. So if he's listening now, he knows. Everything about Embiid, he has an excuse for. And I said, at the end of your career, right now, and I ended up raising my voice to him yesterday, if you don't think this is a big deal, at the end of his career, they don't win anything. They don't get out of the second round. What are you going to be like? And he's going, oh, he entertained me for a lot. I said, okay. What are you going to be bragging about? That MVP season was amazing. I'm like, I hope that keeps you freaking warm at night. And he goes, and he won a gold medal. I'm like, give me a freaking break. I'm like, that's as a Sixers fan, that's what's getting you excited?
I mean, the only guy that you really hear say that the Olympic gold meant more than anything in the NBA was Carmelo Anthony because he never won.
Because he never won
NBA.
one.
So,
yes.
Even though I understand.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, but as a Sixers fan, it does nothing for you.
It does nothing for
don't
you.
Don't spin it like any other way. Well, he won a gold medal. Yeah, that's great.
All right, coming up next, we reset the show. We'll get some more text messages from you at 610-632-0975. Also, around 7:10, I saw a quarterback power ranking list, John.
Oh, geez.
And normally I don't take much stock into it, but it plays into today's topic of the measuring stick game because I'll show you just how far off the two are in the eyes of somebody. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Updates.
Embiidless and winless.
Kincade Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic, talking quarterback. Eagles quarterback versus Bengals quarterback, as it is Jalen Hurts versus the Joe Burrow show on Sunday. By the way, do you think the NFL's kicking themselves a little bit, flexing them out, knowing that Jaden Daniels most likely will be missing this game? I understand.
They get a Marcus Mariota game.
Yeah, they can't. They're not thinking about that 2 weeks ago. They're thinking about Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams, which I totally understood the thought, especially when 2 weeks ago the Eagles were a mess.
And the Bengals did not have 2 wins.
Right. And now all of a sudden that decision may have hurt them a little bit because the better matchup will be this Eagles-Bengals game.
You heard Schefter yesterday. He said it's one of the number one games that he would be looking forward to watching this weekend.
Correct.
Is Eagles-Bengals. And when you're talking about Marcus Mariota, by the way, we better hope that Mariota, quits on a third franchise and goes out there and wets his pants against that Bears defense, which is really good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this is a spot where a young Commanders team with a backup quarterback can't win. Because if they do, I'm telling you right now, I wonder whether the division is still in play.
I'm telling you right now, I'm taking the Bears to win the football game.
You are?
Yeah. Because
Daniels,
continuity.
If Daniels doesn't practice today, you can absolutely pretty much book it that he's not.
Yeah, and Mariota's been taking all the first-team reps, obviously because Jaden Daniels hasn't been practicing. But I'm expecting Marcus Mariota to be the star this weekend for the Commanders. All right, so our 2 topics today, and we love to get more text messages at 610-632-0975. When it comes to the Eagles talking point, are you using Sunday's game as a measuring stick for Jalen Hurts? I know we had a texter text in saying I'm using it for the entire team. Trust me, we're going to get into that more tomorrow. But when it comes to Jalen Hurts, are you using this game as a measuring stick for him going up against Joe Burrow, who I know had a slow start to the season win-loss record, but overall he's having a very good statistical season where he's thrown for 14 touchdown passes, just 2 picks, 70% completion percentage, 110 quarterback.
If I said to you, though, what a measuring stick for a quarterback is, what would be in order, the number 1, 2, 3 things you're looking for if you're talking about being a measuring stick game?
And they go,
I know what my number 1
toe to toe.
Okay, my number 1 would be, did my quarterback play a clean game?
Okay.
That'd be number 1.
Right.
My second of all would be, was my offense running efficiently? Like was the quarterback the reason that the offense was running efficiently? No missed stupid throws, the third down that would have moved the chains, things like that. I'm not worried about the stat sheet.
No, I don't say toe to toe like 400. Like Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, not just statistically.
He absolutely did.
Eye test, right? Like, I'm an eye test guy. Sometimes I see a statistic after a game and I go, wow, I didn't realize it was that much or that little, right? Like, I didn't know that Saquon Barkley rushed for 180 million yards the other day, but I knew that he had a good game just by freaking watching him hit every single hole and average what I thought was like 6 or 7 yards per carry. It was 10, right? Sometimes I don't think about the stats. I've actually talked about this on the air before, more so with basketball. I don't check the box score during a game. I'll wait till the game is over to see what the statistics.
So you don't?
I like to just try to use everything with my eyes. Do I think he had a good game, yes or no? And then I'll use the box score to determine. Because there's a lot of, like, go back to the Ben Simmons days, right? Simmons would finish with 6 points, so people would go, oh, he did nothing. But if you watch the game, you would have seen how he impacted. This is good Ben Simmons, by the way.
Assists, rebounds, things like that.
Yeah, and just the way he D'd up guys. Guys didn't get their shots off because of him, right? So I don't want to use stats sometimes to flood my opinion on how somebody played. So, no, statistically, it doesn't matter. It's what you said. Efficiency. Is he putting the ball in the right spot?
I want a third consecutive clean game, number one.
I don't want to take a note saying, missed that guy, or, wow, that was a bad throw. Like, I don't want to take those notes.
How about what we were seeing a lot of? Jalen fumbles.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the easy giveaway. And if I see a clean game, honestly, I think they're probably going to win. I mean, if Jalen goes another week where he plays a clean game, I think they're probably going to win this football game.
Well, then the question, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow, is can the clean game be the way they've played the last 2 weeks where they've run the ball a lot more? But if Joe Burrow's gashing your defense downfield, at some point you might have to start throwing the football. And can they win in that style? And we've seen them win it before. Our other talking point is about the Sixers. Look, do you feel like you're being lied to right now? We played a clip from Tyrese Maxey's press conference yesterday, post-game press conference, that caught John's ear. And John, great job on catching that.
Well, great job on Austin Krell getting it out there because, strangely, it was not on any transcripts or anything like that.
Yeah, it wasn't somewhere to be seen. Tyrese Maxey said, it's just one game. We're not going to lose every game without Joel Embiid. We were without Joe for all of the preseason and most of training camp.
So when you tell me you're ramping up, you're lying to me then. If that's the truth, and I'm going to take that it's flat out that what Tyrese Maxey said, he experienced it, he lived it. That's a firsthand account. What are you ramping up towards if you're not doing anything? And he said it to us right there. I think it's one of the reasons why I probably didn't make the broadcast last night.
Now, I wonder.
Okay.
Trying to compare this into, like, football.
All right.
The first 4 weeks of the season is just the continuation of the preseason. They don't practice hard in training camp anymore.
Well, he didn't do anything.
Well, is that part of their approach? Like, is he going to ramp up? Like, you know how Joel Embiid, historically, has usually his worst month of the season is the first month of the season because he's getting back into game shape.
Okay.
Like, that is, you look at his stats by month. The first month of the season is always his worst month. Is there a chance that maybe it's the first 2 months he's slower out of the gate, and then we see him kick it up a gear in the second half of the season? Like, I wonder if it is some sort of plan, whether you agree with it or not. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I think they're trying to be transparent by saying he's just ramping up, but is it a lie? Like, we don't really know.
No. If they're saying ramping up, and Tyrese Maxey honestly answers, we had him for. We didn't have him for the preseason and most of training camp.
But what if that was their plan?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that would be what they just shut him down and have him do nothing. That what plan is that? Like, what would that mean? What would your plan be? He's not doing anything.
We're going to take it slow with Joel Embiid.
No, that's
the plan.
That's not taking it slow, though. I mean, that's not taking it slow. That's doing nothing. There's a difference between taking it slow and doing nothing. And Tyrese Maxey answered that question and told us he's doing nothing.
I'd be curious when he's back, because they're saying he's missing the first week of the season, right? So I'm guessing the Pistons game is when he's back. I'm curious what he says after that first game. I'm curious what is said after the first week of games. Like, is he going to and look, we'll use our eyes too. Like, is he going to look hampered, or is he just going to look out of game shape? I wonder what will be said. We'll probably get the real answer in about a week or two about what's going on with Joel Embiid, and I'm curious to see what that is. Because
do you think you're going to get a real answer? Based on everything you know, you've got a doctorate in this. Do you think you're going to get the real answer?
No, probably not.
Whatever this plan is.
Well, then again, Joel Embiid has been pretty honest.
I think Joel's been pretty honest.
The honesty of not playing back-to-backs, like he has been honest. So when he is asked, when he has his press conferences, I imagine he will be honest. We haven't really heard from him.
Well, if I hear any more about
season,
if I hear any more about the plan, I'm going to puke. Because it's funny, is Ron Davis, one of our fine guys here supporting this Davis CPA group. He is a Sixers season ticket holder over the years. Guys pay $85,000, $34,000 for tickets near where he sits for the season.
Yeah.
How do they feel about this plan, which is not laid out, which is not talked about, which is not substantiated with anything? How do they feel about this? That's what I got to wonder.
I was texting with a buddy yesterday about this, and we'll get to our text line in a second, but my own personal text line. I'm not going to give you the phone number.
I will. I'll give you Andrew's phone number later.
Please do that. He was saying, "Man, this sucks for the fans," and
it does.
And it does. Trust me, it does. And my response was, "It's a PR nightmare. Obviously,
it is.
But if you're Daryl Morey, if this is some sort of plan, is Daryl Morey thinking, I got to do right by the fans, or I want to try to win a championship? Whether you agree with the plan or not, like, let's just say that's what they decide. Let's say this is actually some sort of plan. His first thought is going to be, I need to try to win a championship and not worry about what people are saying night one of the season.
All right, here's what I would say to Daryl, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to say it to Daryl in person.
I hope so, yeah.
Very soon. I can't agree with your plan, confirm your plan, buy into your plan, when no one in your organization will tell us what the plan is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you blindly, and I've heard it, by the way, I heard it on Best Show Ever yesterday, blindly believing that this is fine. It's October. He's missing games in October. It doesn't matter. Really? What's the plan? Please tell me what the plan is. Because you don't know what the plan is. So you're telling me you're buying into a plan that they have not articulated, that they have not told you about.
Right.
And you're buying into a plan with an organization's medical team. Do they have the best track record?
No. They don't.
So you're willing to blindly be like, bah. We're just going to be sheep. I'm going to believe. I must believe what the Sixers tell me. I must believe what the Sixers tell me. No! For God's sakes, I don't. Because I'm not a moron. I'm not just going to believe blindly when someone won't tell me what their plan is. Hey, John, don't worry. Trust my plan. Ron is my CPA. If Ron just goes, John, don't worry about it. Don't worry
you'll
about
trust
it.
his plan?
No question. If Ron puts me in federal prison if I don't, but he explains his plan and he says, here's what you're doing, here's what you're paying, and I understand. If I don't know the plan, I am sure as hell not buying into it. And this whole thing smells to high heaven.
He's ramping up, John.
Ramping up when you don't participate in preseason and you don't. Tyrese Maxey tells you most of training camp they didn't have.
Well,
him.
then that's why. Okay. Well, then I can say.
What are you ramping up towards?
Well, I can say that's why they're ramping him up because he did not participate in training camp in preseason.
Okay. Now they ask the next logical question.
Why?
Correct. And you know what the answer's got to be?
Injury.
Correct. Is it an injury from the Olympics? Or is it an injury that hampered you in the postseason last year that could have helped, if healthy, helps the Sixers potentially beat the Knicks? And you're still hampered, and you're going to carry that injury into your summer. Then you're going to play in the Olympics, which you didn't have to. And then you're going to miss your number one paycheck. Again, the person that made you rich, the person that made you famous, the thing is the Philadelphia 76ers and the NBA. Not what you wanted to do on your own time when you could have been resting, rehabbing, and being ready for the beginning of the season.
What do we have on the text line there, Gunner? And then we'll get to these NFL quarterback power rankings in a minute.
Yeah, we got another nameless texter from Jersey checking in on both our topics today.
Oh, I like it. When we don't have a name, Connor goes, no name on this one. It sounds so kind. We have a nameless texter here.
Put your names on it. We got, like I said, nameless texter. He said it's not necessarily a measuring game for Hurts against Burrow because he's going up against the defense and not Burrow, but I do view it as a measuring stick game for the Eagles defense going against Burrow. Mm-hmm. And then the Sixers are definitely lying to us somewhere because it doesn't add up. The last time Embiid played a game or any action was August 10th, and he couldn't ramp up for a season opener on August 23rd.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it that when people are just going to be logical. And you got to be logical about this. You can't blindly believe anybody.
No.
I don't blindly. Look, I'm not taking the Sixers to task any more than I would take to task anybody that I deal with in my life. But I want to know.
Especially, and again, this is I believe totally fair to say. You can't blindly follow anything they say about Embiid. Out of anyone.
No, you can't.
Like if they said it about Tyrese Maxey, I go, all right. Joel Embiid has a legitimate injury history. I know a lot of them are fluky injuries. They are. A lot of them are fluky injuries. But let's face it. The guy's hurt all the time. So
all the time.
So I can't say, oh, okay, yeah. They're being real with us with a guy that's usually hurt. And that's something that I don't understand how people aren't.
I mean, the blind, just everything's so. Oh my gosh, people are overreacting. It's an October game. It's one game. No, it's not. It's 3 games. And then he's already come out and told you he's taking another 13 off.
Yep.
So stop with it's just one game stuff.
Playing 66 games.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that people would be just for the Sixers. Stop it. Let's be objective fans here. There is no organization that in this town we would accept this. Can you imagine if John Middleton or Howie Roseman trotted this crap out?
They might with JT next year.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what?
You're right, they might.
It's his last year.
All right. Excuse me, I'm getting choked up over Joel.
Don't get choked up. I know.
The ramping up plan.
Yeah, you're ramped up. You're ramping up. By 7:30, you're going to be at your best.
Is this game a measuring stick game for you when it comes to Jalen Hurts because he's going up against Joe Burrow? You can text and call on 610-632-0975. On CBS, Cody Benjamin put out his power rankings for quarterbacks through 8 weeks of the NFL season. I will give you the top 10. At number 10, C.J. Stroud.
Okay.
At number 9, Brock Purdy.
Wow.
At number 8, Sam Darnold. At number 7, again, this is through 8 weeks, not through
through 8 weeks.
Not through their careers, because Patrick Mahomes is at 7.
Correct. Okay.
Not through his career.
Patrick Mahomes has had a rough year.
It's been a rough start, yep. Despite them being 6-0.
Yes.
Jordan Love is number 6. Jared Goff is number 5. Baker at 4. Josh Allen at 3, Joe Burrow at 2, Lamar Jackson at 1. Notice I didn't say somebody's name in the top 10.
Where did you see him show up on that list?
11, so just outside.
Okay, so you little.
Yeah, it's not. He's not far out. So Jalen Hurts at number 11. He climbed up 2 spots. Apparently he's been doing this every single week, so he's at number 11. Now, the reason why I even bring it up, because somebody's probably going, oh, what do I care about power rankings of quarterbacks? Through 8 weeks, this guy that covers the league, and I don't know if anybody has any exception to this list, Joe Burrow comes in at number 2.
And you got to play him this week.
Jalen Hurts comes in at number 11.
All right.
So are you using this game as a measuring stick when Jalen Hurts is so far through 8 weeks considered an outside looking in member of the top 10 quarterback club, and Joe Burrow's number 2?
No. Again, I don't care.
So this does nothing for you.
Because statistically, Joe Burrow has had the better year. Mm-hmm. His team has not.
That is true.
All I care about is what the Eagles. I root for laundry. I don't tend to root for. I think that I've learned about you as we've worked together. I root much more for laundry. I think a lot of times root for players. You have players that you root for. That you find yourself.
I have players that I'm attached to, but
that's actually deeply attached.
But I've told you, I don't care if Jalen Hurts throws 4 passes.
No,
as long
as
they win, I want the offense to look efficient.
See, I don't care about stats. The only stat I care about is a win-loss record.
No, I get it. But
I'm not worried. And the only team in the NFC that I don't think the Eagles could use some semblance of last week's game plan to beat is Detroit. I don't think they'd beat Detroit with last week's game plan. I think they can beat any other team in the NFC.
I also don't think they'd only throw the ball 14 times against the Lions.
That's why I said last week's game plan.
But no,
I don't think you can win.
Once they were
but you know what, though?
as big as they were, they just ran the football.
Yeah, but I think you can get in the lead against almost any other team in the NFC playoff picture. They could play a little bully ball, get the lead.
I agree.
And be able to do that, where they're asking Jalen Hurts to just not put the ball at risk. We saw it in 22. They boat raced people and gave him fourth quarters off.
Yeah, and he was very careful with the football in that season, whereas last year and through the first 4 weeks of this year, he was not.
No.
But over the last 2 weeks, 0 turnover-worthy passes, which is fantastic. The big stat that people are going to, which I think is a great stat to look at. He's at 0 over the last 2 weeks, which is tremendous. So are you using this game as a measuring stick for Jalen Hurts, the individual, because he's going up against Joe Burrow? Would love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. You can text in. You can call in. Also, coming up next, I want to give the Eagles credit for something that I don't think they've gotten enough credit for, John. It's been a roller coaster of a season through 6 games, especially with this position group. And I think they deserve a lot of credit for it. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A season opener to forget. I'm Brendan Gunn, and this update is brought to you by Jewish Federations of North America. November.
7 a.m. hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented by the Bet Parks app. You know they've got pre- and post-game shows with Seth Joyner and Derek Gunn live at Parks Casino every game day. Got to be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It is 7:31 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this beautiful Thursday morning. We'll check the text line in a little bit. You can text it. You can call on 610-632-0975. Eagles topic, are you using Sunday's game as a measuring stick for Jalen Hurts as he goes up against Joe Burrow? Again, the CBS power rankings for quarterbacks. We got power rankings for everything. Cody Benjamin has Jalen Hurts at 11, Joe Burrow at 2. So are you using this game as a measuring stick for Jalen Hurts, or do you not care? Just go out there and win, baby. And then the Sixers discussion is whether or not you feel like you're being lied to when it comes to the Joel Embiid situation.
And I honestly want to know from texters or caller, if you don't feel you're being lied to, what do you think is going on? Because nobody can tell me. I heard people blatantly defending the plan, and nobody knows what the plan is.
I think there's people that take them at their word.
And I'm like, you know what? Just set up, go into the barn, and tell the farmer you want to be sheared because you're a sheep. You really are. You're Shaun the Sheep. Have you ever seen Shaun the Sheep, by the way?
No, I've
okay,
never
you
seen
have
Shaun
to
the
get
Sheep.
you have to get Shaun the Sheep. You and Coop got to watch Shaun the Sheep. He's hilarious.
I'd rather play with the toy sheep that we have.
No, well,
I'm
there's
trying to keep him away from the screens as much as possible.
Well, Shaun
man.
the Sheep is funny as hell. I
Okay.
will tell you, just to put it in your back pocket for later time.
Shaun the Sheep, I'll take note.
Oh, he's awesome.
You know how many movies I have to see?
Shaun the Sheep's fun, and there's no dialogue.
In a previous life, the amount of movies I didn't watch that I got berated for not watching.
There's no dialogue in Shaun the Sheep, so you'll be able to follow it easily.
Okay. Sounds good. All right.
Was that a slam? I didn't mean it to be.
I
This is
don't know.
There you go.
Hey, Shaun
we
the
go.
Sheep. All right, so the Eagles, and we'll check the text line in a second. I think the Eagles are not getting enough credit for something. And it could be shame on us. It could be shame on fans. It could be shame on anyone. And correct me if I'm wrong. They might be getting the credit, and I'm just missing it. The Eagles, I believe, need to get a lot more credit for how they have survived all the issues on the offensive line this year. So first things first, new center, right? They have to integrate that, the communication process. I'm not talking about snapping. I'm talking about communication among the 5 guys on the offensive line. Jason Kelce was the center for a long time, and now you have a new center in Cam Jurgens. You have a new right guard in Mekhi Becton, right? So there's 2 new bodies on the starting 5 offensive line. There's also been, all of a sudden, a boatload of injuries up front. Lane Johnson, let's just say, basically missed 2 games because he got hurt quick in that
Second
Buccaneers
quarter.
game. Yeah, it was early in the Bucs game.
It was late first quarter. I'm sorry.
Late first quarter. He gets hurt in the Bucs game, concussion, and then, of course, he misses the next game before the bye week, right? So, or no.
Yeah, he misses the game before the bye week.
The Bucs game was the bye week, before the bye week. Lane Johnson's missed basically
Lane Johnson
2 games.
missed 2.
That's all I know. Right. Jordan Mailata missed his first game of what will be
Yeah, he
many.
got injured in the New Orleans game.
Okay, thank you. And then Lane Johnson missed the Buccaneers game. Jordan Mailata missed his first game of what will be many because he's on IR. That's 4 weeks at least. It could be longer. He's a big body that has to deal with a hamstring injury.
That aircast thing didn't look good. So
no,
IR
IR being 4 weeks doesn't mean it's a 4-week injury. It could be, it could be longer. Mekhi Becton has now left 2 games. Remember, he got his hand hurt in 1 game. Then he got the concussion again early. It was first drive. He got the concussion last week in a game in which they ran the football 40 times, and they were without their starting right guard after a couple of minutes, and their starting left tackle for the entirety of the game. And then I'm also going to throw out Dallas Goedert. I know he's a tight end, but his ability to block is far better than what Grant Calcaterra and Jack Stahl can do, right?
You're fair with that.
His ability to block, you've missed that now for a game. I don't think the Eagles have gotten enough credit for having to figure out a way to deal with injuries leading up to a week and the quick injuries. Lane Johnson first quarter, Mekhi Becton first quarter. Tyler Steen has had to step in at right guard. Fred Johnson has had to play right tackle and left tackle this season. Man, it's been very impressive, actually.
It's been seamless. They've done a really good job. I said it all summer, and it's one of the things where, of course, you know, there are a lot of things. We talked yesterday about things we didn't get right, like the defense leading this team right now and how top 7 in points.
I don't think anybody got that one right, John.
One thing I definitely did read right was that as much as Jason Kelce's a freaking legend.
Yes.
They weren't going to miss Jason Kelce that much. And they don't. They don't.
I will say this.
It's been seamless.
I will say
it
this.
has been the second series snap is the only time that you've ever gone, man, they're really missing Jason Kelce.
Right, with the fumble.
They're not. They can run the ball just as effectively. They've pass protected well enough that Jalen Hurts has now second, I believe, in most time to throw the football in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They're not missing Jason
But
Kelce.
I will say this. There was a play in the Giants game
Okay.
that would have been a touchdown if Jason Kelce was there.
Okay, give me.
The Saquon Barkley 55-yard run where he had one man to beat, but he was kind of gassed at that point. He was on the sideline. He just got shoved out. If you watch the replay, Cam Jurgens, he was up the field. He does not have the same speed that Jason Kelce has. If Jason Kelce is on that field, Jason Kelce either makes that block or does enough where Saquon Barkley can shift out of that spot, and it's probably a touchdown.
Okay, with all due respect, you are trying really,
Yes,
really
I am trying.
hard.
No,
it's not. They have not missed Jason Kelce.
Dude, I've been with you. I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I thought Fletcher Cox was going to be the bigger loss than Jason Kelce.
So did I. And they have not missed Jason Kelce.
No, I'm just saying that would have been a touchdown if Jason Kelce was on the field.
You miss his character. You miss his colorfulness and everything like that. They haven't missed him.
Don't worry. No,
they haven't missed him.
Actually, we're not missing it at all because it's everywhere.
It's everywhere you go.
Everywhere I look, Jason Kelce's character is being shown.
And honestly, in the beginning of the year, we were wondering if Fletcher Cox's absence was going to be something that was major. Are you feeling that way now?
Yes, because your first-round pick that was supposed to step up is playing 21 snaps.
I got you.
With all due respect, look, Moro, Jomo, hey, good for you, brother. Like, you're playing good football. There's going to come a time where I can't rely on Brandon Graham to play 60% of the 70% of the snaps,
Correct.
How many percent? And there's going to come a time where Jordan Davis can't play 20 snaps.
Jordan Davis has not played that little.
Like, Moro Jomo will be figured out at some point.
I think it was the dictating. I really don't. I'm and with all due respect to everybody who's alarmed about it, I think it was the game.
It was the game, but they were up.
But
Giants, but then you drafted a first-round pick who's a role player.
No, but I get you on that,
and that's a problem.
But in that game, situationally, as Vic Fangio explained,
yes,
you dictate the thing by what the opposition is doing and how you're going to defend it.
Absolutely.
And so they knew other specialized guys were better. Your point is extremely valid.
Yeah, I went from an all-pro safety that I wanted, that you wanted,
right.
We both wanted him, to a role player.
Correct.
Wow, that's great.
No, it's not good. I mean, and that part of it is not good.
No, it's not.
But to me, I'm not. It doesn't concern me that much. How about this? Doesn't concern me that much yet.
Okay. Real quick, I saw this yesterday, but I didn't. I saw it early this morning, but I didn't dive into too deep of detail, and I just got more detail on it.
What's that?
So Adam Schefter just posted an article from Jordan Renan, who was on with the station last week with the Mike Missanelli show. We played a couple of clips from him. Did you know that John Mara committed to Brian Dable and GM Joe Schoen for next season already?
That's what he says. I think I don't put anything into that.
How could you do that?
A vote of confidence for anybody from management is honestly, it's not worth the paper it's printed on or whatever. I don't buy that. I think what he's trying to do is shut down any discussion of them making a change during the season. But here's what I would say. You're going to let them be the people that determine your next quarterback?
Right.
You're going to let them be the people that coach up your next quarterback?
The ones that Dable didn't get Daniel Jones. I don't know about Schoen. I don't know about
Gettleman.
No, it was Gettleman. Okay. But the thing is, you're going to let them and say, I am thrilled to hear that news.
Yeah.
If it's true. And I don't believe it's true.
But it's just interesting that they're already putting that out there.
If the Giants crater, let's say the Giants crater and they're one of the 3 worst teams in football.
Which I still expect them to be.
Okay, if they do that. And the Patriots are too. The Patriots aren't drafting a quarterback.
Right.
They just drafted one. And you're the Giants, you would then have one of the most desirable jobs in the NFL. Stable ownership, a organization that has won in the past. They're going to pay top dollar. And you say, oh, and you get to draft your quarterback of the future. I think like that's a situation where if you had Jim Harbaugh, like was on the market this year. That's a thing where Harbaugh would go, okay, that's the job I want. I get to pick my quarterback. I got lots of cap money. They have tons of cap money. They're in good shape. I think that would be a job that would be very desirable, and I think they would pull the plug on Dable and Schoen.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well. All right, coming up next, we'll check your text line. By the way, when you brought up the whole the Patriots don't need a quarterback, I started looking at like the
Drake May stuff?
No, I started looking at the last place teams. So the Raiders would need a quarterback.
Raiders need one.
Browns need a quarterback.
Browns need one.
Titans, if they
Titans
better not
need one.
They better not be dumb. Yeah,
No,
they
need one.
They need a quarterback.
Mayonnaise in his coffee's not working out.
That's 3 in the AFC already.
Right.
Giants would be 4. Rams have to start thinking at some point.
No, the Rams are. I wouldn't be shocked if Matt Stafford's gone by the time the Eagles play him.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I don't buy it.
I know their GM, and I can tell you,
Yeah,
if anyone
I know
would
you
roll
do.
the dice like that, I think he might.
By the way, Panthers also. That's 16. There's going to be a lot of teams looking for a quarterback this year.
There is.
All right, coming up next, we'll get your text messages. Don't forget, coming up at 8:05, we have today's headlines with Brendan Gunn. And we're confused by this game coming up, right? I saw my first national media prediction on the score of this game on Sunday. We'll tell you about that in the 8 o'clock hour. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
The Eagles had just beat the damn Cleveland Browns at home.
this Thursday morning. Coming up at 8:10. Told you we have today's headlines with Brendan Gunn in for Connor. He'll be on at 8:05. What's up? Why are we laughing?
Dennis who DM'd me yesterday says, dude, what's with the dollar store headphones today?
Yeah, well, you had the headphones snap mid-segment yesterday.
Okay, my headphones did snap. These are, yes,
I don't even look like dollar store headphones.
Yeah, they're $9.99. They were $9.99 headphones.
Can you hear me talk?
Yeah, but
why does it freaking matter?
Because he goes, dude. Because they're dollar store headphones.
Listen, brother, these headphones that I take off were gifted to me. If you're watching on YouTube, the padding's all gone. It's just shredded. But I
got to tell you though.
Look, this wire is coming out.
I got to tell you, they drive me so crazy that I'm already thinking ahead to, Santa Claus may need to. I swear. It drives me crazy.
You can hear it. It's all that matters.
But I'm like, your dollar store headphone. It was pretty close. I walked into Target and almost had a coronary. I'm looking at the prices that they wanted for headphones.
Well, I told you. So, John,
I'm like, dude,
you asked me yesterday where to get the headphones. I said Target because now they have a whole section for podcasts.
Yes.
Because everybody has one nowadays, and so they have a whole section
I think even Target has a podcast.
I think they do. I would not be surprised if there's a Target podcast. There has to be.
So I go to the section because Andrew says, well, just go to Target.
Yeah.
I go to Target. These were the only headphones that were not locked up behind a case where you don't have to ask for somebody. So it does say the quality of the headphones that I bought.
Listen to the Target podcast on Spotify.
I met my cousin Matty, though. Saw Matt Gallagher yesterday.
That's good. Hello, Matt.
It's nice to see Matt.
All right, Keith Pompey, before we got into the dollar store headphones. Keith Pompey will be joining us coming up at 8:10.
Oh,
now,
I love this.
Keith was like the only person that had something on Embiid. Remember, he was the first one to put out the story that he's ramping up. And then all of a sudden, we got the news from Shams that he was going to miss the game. And then the Sixers announced that he would be missing the first week of games, the first 3 games, excuse me. So I want to talk to Keith because Keith may have more information than what a lot of other people were pointing out there. So we'll talk to Keith Pompey coming up at 8:10. And
I want to know what he thinks of Maxey.
Yeah.
Sort of letting the cat out of the bag last night.
Yeah, let's play that one more time, Brennan. Here was Tyrese Maxey after the game yesterday because there's still a lot of confusion with what's going on with Joel Embiid, and they're telling you that he's not hurt. That's what Nick Nurse is saying, that they're ramping up. But here's Tyrese Maxey after the game yesterday talking about how they haven't had much time with Joe.
We played one game. I know. So I'm not about to sit here and say that just because Joe was out, that he played bad. I mean, yes, we did not win the game, which is the ultimate the goal. But, we've been without Joe all preseason, all, training camp for the most part. He's been ramping up. So we have to go out there and execute what we worked on. I mean, it's not just, this team is not, us winning, it can't be solely on Joel Embiid. It just can't.
What's he ramping up? What's the ramp up? Can anybody explain it to me? So you're not in training camp. You didn't do, you were missing, for his words, most of training camp. Didn't play in the preseason. So what's the ramp up? Going to a shoot around and wearing a knee brace and shooting?
Well,
something doesn't add up.
The knee brace, I think, is going to be there.
No, but something doesn't add up.
Yeah, look, unless their plan, whether you agree with it or not.
Well, they haven't said what the plan is.
Right, unless the plan is, hey, we're going to take this very, very slow. And we're not, just like football. They don't play in the preseason anymore. They use the first 4 weeks of the season as the continuation of the preseason. That's all we hear every single year.
And I will tell you right now, if that is the plan, I'm going to tell you, I believe there's 0 chance they're a top 4 seed. 0. I'm not leaving any wiggle room here. I'm either going to be wildly right or wildly wrong.
Okay.
I don't believe they will find their way over 82 games to be better than teams like Boston, the Knicks, the Cavs, the Bucks, maybe throw in Orlando and maybe throw in Indiana. You may be scrambling to avoid the play-in tournament if this is your plan.
And honestly, that's the biggest thing for me. Like, if they're the 6th seed, as long as they're not, I don't want them to be in the play-in game. I don't want to. No. I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. All right, what do we have on the text line, Gunner? You can text in, call in 610-632-0975. Again, Keith Pompey. We'll talk about this all coming up when he joins us at 8:10.
Yeah, we got Logan in Wallingford checking in. He says, what's the point of a ramp-up when all this guy does is get hurt anyway? Is a ramp-up going to stop an elbow to the face or a random guy falling on his knee or a stomach bug popping up in the playoffs? He's not Greg Oden. His knees aren't degenerating. He just gets hurt all the time anyway.
No, I mean,
we don't know that his knees aren't degenerating.
I think his knees are messed up. Like,
so do I.
Look, he does have a lot of fluky injuries, the elbow to the face, but
Well, when you and again, that's where people lose their way with. He's a tough son.
Yeah, he is tough.
He's a tough son.
He's not
of a gun.
soft.
Broken face, broken orbital bone,
and playing throw it.
And then guys are going to challenge you.
Dwayne Dedman literally smacked him in the face, and that's when that series was over. The Miami Heat series. Remember, they tied. They were down 2-0. They came back tied 2-2. When he got smacked in the face, Game 5, the series was over because he was afraid after that. And I don't blame him. If I get a paper cut, I'm afraid to get soap on it.
Like, I can't honestly. I can't understand. I think it takes brass ones to get out there with a broken face and get in that traffic and play.
Yeah, he's not soft.
He's not soft.
All right, coming up next, we have today's headlines with Brendan Gunn at 8:05. Keith Pompey joins us at 8:10. Hopefully we get some more information on what the deal is with Joel Embiid. If there is a plan, a legitimate plan, what is it? We'll talk to you as well on the text line, the phone line, 610-632-0975. And again, coming up at 8:30, I saw my first prediction for Sunday's game, Eagles-Bengals.
Okay. Someone you trust?
Sure.
Okay.
And I'm curious, if it went this way, how would we feel? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A B Squad season opener. I'm Brendan Gunn, and this update is brought to you by the Garden.
Yeah, no, we're done with that. But thank you, Rand Spear, the accident lawyer, for all the stuff that you did for us during the Kelly Green Cash contest.
Keyword is hungry. Because Andrew is starving.
I'm so hungry. I'm not a coward like Brendan Gunn. I played basketball last night.
Listen, I wish I could have went.
Okay,
yeah.
First of all, I'm just going to say this. I could have sent you to my boy at Sal's Barbershop. Michael Coletti could have given you a better haircut than that, and you could have got it done where you still could have played ball.
Oh, no,
I should have.
He also had to pick up the dress for his girlfriend.
And himself, obviously.
Wow, he said it.
I'll take it.
All right,
you.
Brendan Gunn will be giving us today's headlines coming up at 8:05. Keith Pompey will be joining the show coming up at 8:10. But our topics today are: you using Sunday's game as a measuring stick for Jalen Hurts as he goes up against Joe Burrow? Again, there was that CBS quarterback power rankings list where Hurts comes in at 11 and Burrow comes in at number 2. Is it that drastic of a difference? You can have that opinion on your own. But basically, are you going to watch Sunday's game and go, all right, Hurts went toe-to-toe with Burrow, or he outdueled Burrow, or he's nowhere close to Burrow, right? Are you going to do something like that this Sunday? Whereas me, John, you know where I'm coming from. I want this offense to be more simplified. I don't need Jalen Hurts to try to go toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow. I just want him to not throw the ball in bad areas, which he has not done the last 2 weeks. I would like the offense to be a run-first offense, which it was last week, and they had their best game of the season. I want more of that. And when Jalen Hurts, it is time to make throws, I want him to make the smart throws. I don't want hero ball. There are a lot of things that I don't want Jalen Hurts to do because I think he's very good in other areas of the football game.
Well, I'm gonna look at it this way: is that I don't expect right now. Right now, I'm leaning, and I think I have not had a feel for this Eagles game. This is weirder than any game since I've been home doing this show. I'm gonna say that I don't expect Jalen Hurts to outplay Joe Burrow. Under any circumstances, am I going into the game expecting it? But that doesn't change my opinion that his team can win.
Yeah, as long as you win.
I don't think Jalen has to outplay Joe Burrow. I think he has to just play the best game Jalen can play within this offense, and hopefully the coaches give him a great opportunity
right, and
to do
that's the
so.
biggest thing. Like yesterday, when did we have the game manager conversation? Was that 2 days ago? I think it was 2 days ago. The term game manager, and everybody takes it different ways, some negative, some positive. It's not just the quarterback itself. It's the organization. It's the game plan. I don't want Jalen Hurts to play hero ball. I don't want them to put him in a position where he has to. I don't want it to be vertical routes all day. I want it to be stuff where you get the ball out quick. It might be a boring offense. You said it the other day. It was a boring offense for you the other day.
And I'm totally fine.
They scored 28 points and were efficient from the second quarter on. And Give me more of that.
It was the one thing I know with Jalen Hurts is that I think people, in his turnover-prone nature, that really became a season plus.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts had a real problem with turnovers. I think whatever you do and when I say dumb it down, I'm just saying give him less to have to make decisions on, and you make it as simplistic as possible, and then ramp it up, which is a bad term right now in town. I think it works to Jalen. Put Jalen in the best position to succeed. He's shown the last 2 weeks those game plans can play for him.
People want a gunslinging offense, gunslinging quarterback. He's not that.
And I don't need that. Like, I personally don't need that. I need wins.
Yes.
I need stable right now. I need this thing to get worked out. And to me, by December, I'm going to need to see the offense evolve. Mm-hmm. November's got to be better than October. December's got to be better than November.
Start winning some football games.
Just win football games. You got to win football games because I'm telling you right now, I'm getting grief from people about the Commanders thing. If the Commanders beat the Bears with Marcus Mariota, I'm not sure that you're winning the division. So you better
keep an eye on.
You better get on your horse and start. You can't be losing a bunch of games.
No, especially this early on. All right, it is time now for today's headlines with Brendan Gunn.
Today's headlines with
the most interesting man in the world.
Nobody's ever said that.
I like that.
What's so interesting about you?
He is interesting.
What's up?
I'm a little bit interesting, some would say.
He's an errand runner.
You're right. You're weird. That's right.
And he runs errands.
All right, so As weird as I am, it's going to make me sick that I have to start headlines today with the Dallas Cowboy. But the story was pretty funny. Their kicker, Brandon Aubrey, of course, he was selected to do his civil duty and jury duty. And he ended up being selected to the 12-man jury, so he's out of practice the rest of the time. The Cowboys actually tried to get him out of it, and he said, no, I have to go and do my civil duty.
What?
What's
Really?
up with that? And do you guys have any funny jury duty stories?
Wait, is this pen? You can hear it?
Yeah.
All right, looks like I got to change our 8:47 segment. Thanks a lot,
Yeah, that's
Brendan.
crazy.
Oh, no.
Way to read the show sheet,
No, I think
Brendan.
this is good.
Oh,
No,
no.
wait a minute here.
It is a crazy story, though.
You mean to tell me the Cowboys tried to get him out of it and he said no?
He said no.
What the?
Doing his civic duty,
Well, he's a
man.
kicker. Honestly, the kicker cannot practice all week and can show up on Sunday and kick.
Right, but if this is a long case,
No, but it would be, but they don't, he's not sequestered.
okay.
Unless they say he's sequestered.
No, he can
gets
go to the
home
game.
every
He
night.
just
Right.
can't practice during the week, which
Right.
how much he's probably better off not
How does the
practicing.
kicker need to really do it? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's a crazy story. It makes you realize that they're also humans. Like, sometimes we forget that athletes are humans as well. They, too, also have to do jury duty.
I don't know how human he is that he wants to do it because he
Well, that's
could
a
have
good
gotten
point.
out of it. He's a sicko.
Now, here's the thing. I don't know how many people see Brandon Aubrey walk into jury duty and go, oh, my God, that's Brandon Aubrey. They might not realize it. But could you imagine if you walk into jury duty and there's 7'2" Joel Embiid sitting next to you?
I mean, it would be like I'm
Guilty.
just shocked in the middle of a season. Like you like I wouldn't do that in the fall is one of our most important times.
Yes.
Doing what we do for a living.
Yeah, but sometimes we can't get out of it.
I would opt out. No, I'd find a way to opt out.
I know you would.
I've been kicked off. Not kicked off. When they've gone through the process, say you're in the media. My brother was in law enforcement at one point.
Yeah, you're out easy.
My family has law enforcement in it. I can get out of jury duty anytime. Media can always get you out.
Yeah.
Duly
Can
noted.
always get you out.
Yeah. Well, no, seriously, it is a
Watch,
legitimate
there's a
thing.
judge somewhere in Chester County going, oh, yeah?
Yeah, you're on the
I'll
next
show
jury
you,
duty.
cowboy. And by the way, the more you vote, the more likely you are to get called for jury duty.
All right, so moving on. We're also the home of the hockey team in the city. They
Yes, we
unfortunately
are.
lost their sixth in a row last night. They won the first game, lost 6 in a row after that, but there was a shining light last night. Matt Michkov scored. I'll let you guys hear it, then I have a question.
They are back to themselves, and they're on the power play for the fourth time. A chance to make it a one-goal game. Jamie Drysdale curls to the side of the net, now ducks behind the Washington cage with a puck. Kept on the perimeter, gives it far half wall. Tip it back over to Michkov. This is a 4-on-3. Michkov in the slot, took the shot, he scored!
All right, so is that pretty much what the season's going to be?
Yes.
Just Matvey Michkov and that's it?
Yes, and that's okay.
That's fine with me.
John, I was floored. I was reading some of your responses on Twitter 2 nights ago, not
Oh
last
my
night's
gosh.
game, 2 nights ago. There were people so upset tweeting at you, when is this going to end?
It
When
just
is the-"
started, you people.
I think people forget that Chuck Fletcher was literally here 2 years ago. Like, this is year 2 following the Chuck Fletcher regime, which is why you need to be in a rebuild.
This is a year and 7 games.
Right.
For God's sakes, when's this thing going to be over? When's this team going to be winning? I got to tell you, my man Mike Sealski, who I think a ton of, I think he's fantastic. I got to tell you, I think he's lost his mind. This team's supposed to be competitive. Mike, I worked in the NHL for a long time, various different times in my life. I have no idea what you were looking at if you thought this team was supposed to be competitive this year.
And they'll get hot. They'll win
reds.
games.
This team was not supposed to be competitive. A competitive team is supposed to be in the mix to, do something.
I think
They're not.
last year, the fact that they were a playoff
It
team the
polluted
last
people.
couple weeks of the season polluted people.
They have goaltenders that aren't good enough. Their starting goaltender should be a backup.
Yep.
Their backup goaltender's not ready for prime time. You will never win in the NHL otherwise. They have 3 number 1 picks this year, 3 number 2 picks.
I saw somebody tweet at you the other night. They're wasting Michkov. He's 19 years old.
He's 19 freaking years old.
If he's sore,
Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me?
he's 19.
He can
man.
play till he's 36, 37 here.
Yeah, we're
Stop.
We're fine.
I'll tell you, the Flyer fan base tries to come off sometimes like the smartest. And honestly, if I go by my own Twitter feed, it might be the dumbest.
Hey, you said it.
And I hope not.
As
I
John
hope not.
Kincade quoted, put it on a billboard somewhere.
Might be our dumbest.
All right. Great job, Brendan. Thank you. Joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. This man just does such a tremendous job covering the Sixers for the Philadelphia Inquirer, Inquirer.com. And, of course, was really the only guy locally that had anything on Joel Embiid before it was announced that he would be out for the next 3 games. Well, now 2 games. We think that, of course, is Keith Pompey. Keith, good morning. How are we doing today?
What's good? I'm doing well. How y'all doing?
We're confused. So can you explain to us, based off of your reporting and your feel on everything that's going on with Joel Embiid, what is this plan, if there is one, or is he hurt and they're just kind of dealing with that?
You know, it's weird. I asked a lot of people, and like, look, y'all, is Joel hurt? And they all keep saying no. I think what happened and what people think is, you know, Joel came back. He probably should have not participated in the Olympics, right? He, you know, after the season, you know, you take time off, you rest up, you lose weight, you do all the things that you have to do to make sure that your knee is 100%, you know, ready to go. And I feel like he went to the Olympics, and the stuff that he could have probably done while the Olympics was going on, he's doing now. So I think that's a lot of it, right? You know, but when you keep asking people, did he have a setback? You know, what happened? I mean, think about it. Joel came back for the final 7 games of the season, and I believe he only played in 5 of them because, remember, he fell to the ground, he had a little scare, and they took him out. And then we saw the playoffs. We saw where he kept falling to the ground. They kept saying that it was nothing. He was just scared because he would adjust his knee brace, and then he would come back out and play again. And, you know, it was at that point when you're saying to yourself, like, I know this guy isn't going to play in the Olympics. I just know he's not. I know he's not. And then he's in the Olympics, and you saw where, you know, he didn't really have good lateral movement that we're used to seeing, and it was just a lot of things. So from what my understanding is, he is trying to make sure that he is 100% now. He does not want to rush back, knowing that they play all these amount of games, you know, 4 games in a week, 3 games a week, whatever, and then have a setback. So
Keith,
that's what's going on.
Can I ask you, though, do you know what Joel did between, like, training camp opening and the end of the Olympics? Because I would believe then, if there is no new injury, the ramp-up period begins then, right? I mean, because, as you're saying, during the Olympic time, he could have been doing his ramp-up, his rest time, his rehab, whatever he had to do. What did he do? Was he vacationing? Was he doing otherwise? Because to me, then, I would think that sets the franchise back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what he was doing, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm pretty sure he probably did take some time off. But the thing about it is when you see Joel, when you see him, he looks like he's in tip-top shape. I'm talking about he lost like 25 to 30 pounds. I mean, he looks like young Joel, like years ago when he first came, you know, when he was drafted. Now, again, he's not that 260, whatever. But, you know, you could tell that he shedded a lot of pounds. So he had to be doing something. And I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where, you know, I'll be honest with the Sixers. It's kind of like when it comes down to Joel, a lot of times it's all about Phil, how he feels, what he wants to do, you know, things like that. So I do think that, yeah, they had to know at a certain point that, okay, this guy isn't going to play, right? So maybe they could have been a little bit more transparent, you know, towards the tail end. But in the beginning, I think that they all were thinking, oh, he's going to rest a little bit, and then he's going to come back. You know, maybe when he went to the doctor, you know, the doctor came back and said, hey, look, guys, you can play now, but you don't want to rush it. So, you know, everyone keeps saying the same old thing, but it does look bad from your standpoint of when you're saying, look, dude, you played in the Olympics. But now the Sixers are the team that's paying your contract. You just got an extension, and you're missing at least the first 3 games of the season. But you kind of knew he was going to do that because he hasn't even scrimmaged yet.
Right. Now, Keith, let's take the Sixers at their word. This is part of the plan, the ramp-up process. So John and I did the math yesterday, and we're really good at it. Trust us. The max amount of games that he could play, because he's already told us that he's not playing in both games of the back-to-back, so that's 13 games, and then the first 3 games of the season, that's 16. So the max amount of games that he could play is 66. Clearly something's going to happen during the season. We know it at this point. Should we expect another 3 or 4 game period off for Joel Embiid? Because he himself has said he doesn't care about individual awards and statistics. He just wants to be healthy for the playoffs. So could there be another point in the season where he misses 3 or 4 games just as a part of the plan?
I mean, it could be, yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean, seriously. I mean, the one thing is that gets me with that is we all know how Joel does have a competitive nature, right? I mean, it's been many times where, and I wouldn't even write stuff, where like, oh, yeah, man, word is Joel's not playing today. Oh, really? Yeah, he's not going to play today. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going with that one. And the only reason why is because Joel has a tendency of, he's supposed to take off a day, and he really wants to take off that day, but his competitive juices will get the best of him, and then all of a sudden he's doing like another Willis Reed, right? So to me, I think that, yes, we could see Joel miss a lot of games. I don't think he's going to, reach that 65-game threshold, right? I wouldn't be surprised if he missed like another 5 games, right, with that. But the thing is, the only thing that keeps telling me something is, like, let's say if Nikola Jokic is, like, destroying it, somebody else is, like, having a real great season. And Joel may say, you know what, I'm the best center in the NBA. So something will tell me that he'll try to come back. But see, here's the one thing that we're all not talking about. And let's go back to when Joel injured his knee in Indiana, right? And that's when everybody said he had the initial setback. But his knee was messed up before that. He just kept playing through it and was trying to be like LeBron James, and I'm like, I'm good. If I'm playing, don't talk about it, right? So he messed his knee up. Now, then he doesn't play in the Denver game. He doesn't play in the Portland game. And the national media destroyed him.
Yeah.
Everyone called him soft. They said all types of stuff. They did all this. They said everything about him. So then I was on that road trip. And then they go to Golden State. And I'm telling y'all, Joel kept falling around, kept falling down. And I remember, like, at the end of the first quarter, he went to the locker room to get some treatment. And when he came out, the crowd was looking at him, and he looked like a boxer who was past his prime, but who had too much pride to throw in the towel.
Right.
And everyone was feeling sorry for him. So when we fast forward to right now, and again, I'm not taking up for Joel, but when we fast forward to right now, Joel says, you know what? I came back too early, and I had too much pride to where I didn't, like, not throw in the towel at that particular time. And what happened is I had another meniscus tear. So I think that what he's thinking is, listen, I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm going to do it for myself. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to go in harm's way until I'm 100% sure, or until the doctor tells me I'm 100% sure that I won't have a setback. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yep. Well, it sounds like it. So are you expecting him, before we let you go, Keith, and thanks for your time as always, are you expecting him to play next week against the Pistons, which is the 4th game of the season? We keep on hearing first 3 games will be out. And when are you expecting Paul George to make his debut for the Sixers?
I think with both of them, it depends on practice, right? The Sixers will have practice today. I think if we see Paul George practice today, and then when they go to Toronto, or whatever, and they have another practice, I think, or even if he practices today, I think, like, we could possibly, now this is just me talking, that we could possibly see Paul George at the earliest on Sunday, if not definitely against the Detroit Pistons, if he doesn't have a setback. With Embiid, I think it's just a matter of how the ramp up goes. Because not only does he have to practice and scrimmage, what they're going to do is the next day they're going to say, well, how is the knee? Is there any fluid in the knee? You know, how do you feel? So I think that they literally, when they say they want to get them out a lot, get them out there and practicing a lot, I think that is real. But it could be Wednesday. But again, it all depends on how his ramp up is going. And like when they say Joel, it's really fluid.
Right. All right, Keith. Listen, man, we appreciate it as
Thank you,
always.
Keith.
It's going to be another fun season, I hope, of Sixers basketball. We always love talking to you, man. So we'll be bugging you again as this season goes on.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
You're the man. There he is, Keith Pompey from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Inquirer.com. Does a great job covering the Sixers. Did say a lot. So
he has a lot to say.
We'll expand on that coming up as the show goes on. But also, don't forget, I've been teasing this for a little bit. I saw my first prediction for the Eagles game. I will tell you now, you're not going to like it. But I have a question that will come off of it that you'll hear next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
2 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll check our text line coming up in a little bit. I know the text line's been hot and heavy this morning with both the Eagles and Sixers on the table. Our Eagles conversation, are you using Sunday's game as a measuring stick game for Jalen Hurts when he goes up against Joe Burrow? And then when it comes to the Sixers, look, do you feel like you're being lied to? Now, real quick, unpack a few things from Keith Pompey.
What did Keith think?
Look, I think he thinks that he's still injured, but the ramp-up thing is because he's not at 100%. Now, I will say this. If he's not at 100%, or I said to you off the air, I think it was yesterday, he may have a percentage floor that he needs to be at. And he goes, I'm not going to play unless I'm at 80%.
I noticed a couple things that I jotted down.
All right,
he
what do you
thinks that that Embiid dictates to the Sixers, not vice versa.
Right, so he may say, I'm not at 80%, so I'm not going to play.
By the way, Joel, you know your body.
Yep.
And I don't want you on the floor if you think you're going to do something.
Right. He mentioned the pride of the national media ripping him last year for the Jokic thing.
What I would say to you is exactly what Keith said. Then you shouldn't have been in the Olympics.
Correct.
Flat out.
Yeah.
If you're saying now you don't want to play because you're not 80, 85%, then you shouldn't have played in the Olympics when you were still banged up from an injury that you had suffered and that hurt you in the playoffs. Flat out. No excuses for that. You shouldn't have.
I agree with you.
That should have been job one is to be a Philadelphia 76er, not something else. And if you say now, I'm not going to play because I'm not 100%, then you should have said that this summer when the Olympics were there. Period.
Yeah.
That should have been the answer because that's not a job.
So
that's a want.
So
that's a want.
Remember, Kawhi was on the Olympic roster and then opted out of it because of the injury. Now he is still.
I heard he got pushed.
He is still hurt.
I heard he got pushed out. Like that's what I was sort of told. It would to me.
Well,
I do not know. I'm not reporting.
I wonder if also Clippers ownership's like, yo, dude.
You can't do this.
You can't play for us, but you can play for Team USA.
Well, when I hear Keith Pompey talk about the fact is Joel doesn't want to play when he's not 100, then guess what? This summer you weren't 100% either, and you played.
Oh, he clearly wasn't. Yeah. All right, we'll check the text line a little bit, but another topic that we're going to open up for the remainder of today's show. So Pete Prisco, who covers the NFL for CBS, we had him on before the season started, or right around I think it might have been week 1. He does his predictions for every game on the NFL slate every single week. And this is the first prediction that I've seen for Eagles-Bengals. A lot of the times they come out on Fridays or they come out on Sundays. This was the first one that I've seen so far for this game, so I'm not doing this just to get a conversation going. It's legitimately the first one I saw. He has the Bengals beating the Eagles 30-20. His write-up, both of these teams seem to have righted things from their slow starts. The Eagles are playing consecutive road games, which will be a challenge after winning a division game last week. The Philadelphia defense will be challenged by Joe Burrow in the passing game. Look for Burrow to have a big day. The Bengals will take it to even their record. So he's not saying the Bengals will win 30-20 because the Eagles stink. He's saying it's a tough spot for the Eagles. Second straight road game, coming off of a divisional win, even though I didn't think that was an emotional divisional win like it would be like a Cowboys game.
Second straight road, it's literally 78 miles or whatever up the turnpike.
Correct.
I don't consider that even a road game.
But the question is, if they lose a game to the Bengals, which is a better team than the Browns and the Giants, and they lose to them by 2 scores, would that thought that we weren't pointing out it's just the Giants and Browns, but let's face it, it was in the back of our minds. We wanted to see how they matched up against different opponents, but we were still going to celebrate in time when the Eagles beat the Giants by 25 points, which we haven't seen in a long time for the Eagles. Would that thought that was all in the back of our minds or the forefront of a lot of people's minds? Are people vindicated if they lose to the Bengals by 10 points this Sunday?
No. Well, I mean, I told you the thing that would worry me more is the 20.
the fact that they only scored 20.
If they only score 20 on the Bengals defense, I'm going to be a little bit upset at that point. I'll be a little upset. I don't know that there is any vindication at this point in almost any opinion about this team because it's a big it's sort of a big mishmash of not knowing what is real, what's...
Yeah, but you know what a lot of people were saying after the Giants win. Okay, it was just the Giants. And we would respond by saying, yeah, well, if they barely beat the Giants, you would complain about that. But there are people that say, all right, let me see them beat a real team or a playoff team. A lot of people like to compare the Eagles to other teams. This is a team that could be in the playoffs come, December, January. If they lose by 10 points, that's a double-digit lead or double-digit loss.
Okay, what if it's 27-24 late in the game and there's a garbage time touchdown after a turnover on downs or something? I don't know. I'm not going to look at because 10 can look different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But if it's like if the defense gets gashed, we've been talking about how great the defense has been. And look, I don't think the defense will be a top 10 scoring defense. I think they're going to still finish around middle of the pack. And the Bengals are a better offense than what Cleveland and New York would show. So I would not be surprised if they gave up a decent amount of points this Sunday to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. But if the Eagles' offense is stale, I don't want to say stall, let's use another ST word, stale, does that cause concern for people?
If I said to you right now, fast forward, both of you, fast forward to halftime on Sunday, what's the score? In your mind, right now, just not even thinking about it. Halftime.
17-13 Bengals.
I was going to go 17-14 Birds.
Okay, that's right about where I'm at.
All right.
We're all in the same neighborhood, right around 30-plus points scored. So I'm expecting a big scoring game from both teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say the 20-point prediction, I got to tell you, that would be the red flag to me. That they score 20 more than they give up 30, as a final score. I'm expecting Joe Burrow to put up 25 points plus this weekend. And I'm expecting the Eagles to pretty much rival it as far as points wise.
So I want people to answer that question. If the Eagles, and again, we're not picking the Eagles to lose. It's the first prediction I saw.
No.
Pete Prisco has the Eagles losing 30-20. If we're coming in here Monday morning and the Eagles lost 30-20, are a lot of people that said it was just the Giants and just the Browns feeling vindicated? Or is it a tough spot because it's the second road game, and they had a divisional win last week? I'm curious to see what people are saying. You may have caught the Bengals at a wrong time. They're starting to play hotter football, right? I understand spot is an important thing in the NFL, but the Eagles are playing a better brand of football right now as well. So if they lose 30-20, how are we acting Monday morning? You can text in. You can call in 610-632-0975. Brendan, what do we have on the text line so far about the other topics that we have introduced as the show's going on?
Yeah, we got Pete in Allentown checking in about the measuring stick conversation. He says, absolutely 100% this is a measuring stick game for Jalen Hurts. Hurts is our most influential player on offense who determines the outcome of the game. If he comes out and throws 2 interceptions and fumbles, we're going to lose. If he comes out and matches Joe Burrow play for play, then we'll probably win. With all the problems he has of being consistent every game, this has to be a measuring stick. And every game going forward is a measuring stick for Jalen Hurts at this point.
If he goes play for Burrow, I can't say they probably win. If they lose, but I could still feel happy about a Jalen Hurts performance in a loss.
So could I.
I did the Super Bowl. Hello.
Absolutely.
The Eagles lost the Super Bowl. I was miserable, but Jalen Hurts played the best game of his life.
If Jalen plays a clean game on Sunday and they put up 27 points, I'm not coming in here on Monday and going, damn it, Jalen.
Right. No.
Remember that one throw? You could have had 34.
Yeah, but a clean game and only scoring 20 points like Pete Prisco said,
I'm saying.
That's 2 touchdowns. That's not enough for me.
No, I said
just a clean game.
20's not enough. But if they score 27, I'm expecting the defense to make some plays.
Right.
I'm not going to come in on Monday and be like, damn you, Jalen Hurts. You should have scored 34. He puts up 27, clean game. That's an A.
But I get what Brendan's saying because Jalen Hurts played a clean game against Cleveland and they only scored 20 points. So I get where Brendan's coming from as well. So look, chime in. Is Sunday a measuring stick game for Jalen Hurts going up against Joe Burrow? Are you feeling like you're being lied to by the Sixers? What are your overall feelings on the situation with Joel Embiid? And the thing that we just opened up, Pete Prisco, the first person that I saw predict the game on Sunday, has the Eagles losing by 10, 30-20. If that were to be the situation at hand on Monday morning, How are we feeling? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insight.
Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. All right, we're going to get to your text messages here. You can climb in at 610-632-0975. Don't forget our man Kevin Nagandi. He just couldn't do last Thursday, but joins us every single Thursday.
We welcomed him
at
back
9 o'clock. Yeah, we're cool with him coming back on.
It's not like he hosts 6 p.m. Sports Center or anything.
Yeah, he's okay.
And he's the Temple
that
guy.
Kevin Nagandi guy. He's going to be joining us coming up at 9 o'clock. And our man Michael Westwood from GBIWins.com will be joining us coming up. He did have a big weekend last weekend, so we'll talk to him coming up at 9:35. Brendan, what do we have on the text line this morning about any of our topics that we got going on?
Yeah, we got CJ and Chester checking in on the topic you guys just introduced. He said if the Eagles lose this game 30-20 on defense, we're right back where we started. The offense barely mustering up any points, and the defense giving up well above the league average. It would not bode well for the divisional hopes if that happens.
Yeah, John, seriously, if they lose 30-20, obviously we have to see how the game plays out.
Yes.
Right? It's hard to have this conversation just based off of a prediction, and we would have to see how the game plays out. But if they lose 30-20, and it's not like a garbage time touchdown, as you said, or maybe they're up 27-20 and they kick a field goal to make it a 2-score game, I don't think it would go over well. I think people would start freaking out because I think that Giants and Browns thing is in the back of everybody's mind. There are a lot of people where it's the forefront, where people go, it's just the Giants, it's just the Browns. I won't lie to you. We're always as honest as possible on the show. It's in the back of my mind. Okay, you beat up on the Giants. That's great. I wanted you to. Now let me see you do it against a better opponent.
If you hadn't already beaten the Green Bay Packers, I would totally buy it.
Okay, that's fair.
You've already beaten the Green Bay Packers. At the time, you skunked a Saints team that was putting up 40 on everybody else, even though it was only 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying into this team, and I think they beat the Falcons too, a team that does have offensive weaponry. If Nick Sirianni doesn't pull that stupid play out of his head,
right?
That's where he pulled it out of his head. They had given up 15 points, and they win that game giving up 15.
I hate he said it again, the identity thing.
Oh, stop it. I swear to you.
Your team, the identity changing week in and week out.
That's not true.
Use a different word. Game plan changes week in and week out. Stop saying identity.
Does the identity of this show change week to week?
I don't think so.
Does the identity of any one of us as personalities change week to week?
No. Nothing stable changes on a week-to-week basis.
Nothing.
Right.
I'm going to tell you that nothing successful in life is erratic like that.
No.
Go to any business. Go to anything. It's consistency.
Those searching for their identity, middle schoolers, and they have no idea what they're doing.
You know what the Ravens are doing? The Ravens are going to run it down your throat with Derrick Henry, and then Lamar Jackson is going to, throw over the middle of the field with Mark Andrews, some underneath routes with Zay Flowers. You know what's coming. You know what's coming with the Detroit Lions. Obviously, there's going to be wrinkles. There's going to be trick plays. There's going to be different plays you haven't seen on film. But when it comes down to it, when you go through, the trick plays and everything, the nitty-gritty nature of the Lions is run the football. The nature of the Ravens is run the football. The Eagles, in my opinion, nature should be run first. But even if it's not, at least stick with an identity. It changes. It's changing every single week.
And to me, it's maybe because of the fact that they've finally come to the realization that what they've done last week and what they sort of did the week before has to be how they're going to win games.
I think that's got to be the case.
That's what I think.
There's going to be a game where Jalen Hurts plays the best game, another incredible game. He throws 30 times, right? There's going to be game. And again, game planning does come into that effect. If your identity is run first, but you're going up against the worst passing defense in the NFL, okay, exploit that. Throw the football in that game.
Except if you're the Eagles at Tampa Bay, where the worst rush defense, they decided, what we're going to do? We're going to shock them. We're going to throw it all the time.
This past weekend, it was still throw the football when they were going up against one of the worst rush defenses in the Giants, who also sacked the most quarterbacks in the NFL. So you were going up against a good pass defense, and you decide to throw right into it.
Made no sense.
I don't get that. And maybe they realized, okay, this is our strength. And again, identity is strengths and weaknesses in football.
Sure it is. In life it is.
Yeah, well, what Nick Sirianni's trying to explain, dumb it down, dude. You need to dumb down everything. Identity is what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses. Build on your strengths, try to avoid your weaknesses. Like, taking shots downfield, constantly looking for chunk plays is not necessary.
No.
It could be a way to win depending on your offense.
I don't think that they I think if someone tells me they're searching themselves out, their identity, anything like that, I always see it as a red flag that you're in a bad spot. Nick looks at it as we're evolving, we're changing. I don't think it's good. Not for a team that had aspirations to be in the competition to go to the Super Bowl.
They've played 6 games. How do you not know this yet?
Because you take training camp as Club Med?
Oh, no, this one was,
they're ramping
this
up
one
their
was more
identity.
physical. Yeah, they're ramping up the identity.
Yeah, they're ramping up.
Thank
That's
you,
good.
Gunner.
I hate ramping up now. I don't want to hear about it.
All right, coming up next, our man Kevin Nagandi will join us to start the 9 o'clock hour. We hear from you after that at 610-632-0975. I know Kevin was in Philadelphia. That's what he told me. I'm guessing he meant the Sixers game yesterday.
Oh, that's good.
When I was texting him last night. So we'll talk to Kevin about your Philadelphia 76ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and anything else that's on our minds. Kevin Nagandi next, right here. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. a.m. on this Thursday morning. I hope you had a safe drive into work, everybody. Let's have a great day. Tomorrow's Friday already, Johnny.
I'm very happy about that.
This week is I mean, every week during football season feels to have been flying by. I can't believe that we're already entering week 8. We have a game tonight.
I wish you'd stop saying that,
I know. I'm sorry. We have a game tonight, Rams and Vikings. As you've said a couple of times, Rams could do us a favor. I just don't think that they will.
You know what's something as weird as I've looked at it all week, and I'm in one of those confidence pools?
Yes.
And I put very low points on Minnesota tonight. I just have a weird feeling it's going to be one of those weird games, even though...
I mean, look, they're only 2.5-point favorites. Now, it's on the road, and it's West Coast.
And by the way, don't fall for the thing about road teams winning on Thursday night, that it's a big disadvantage. That's not true.
Okay.
So that's not true. But I've had a weird feeling all week that the Rams may give us a Christmas present tonight.
That would be nice on October 24th.
Yes, because I'm almost... You got 2 months, by the way.
Yeah, you're almost done.
And even though I'm almost done, I've got like 3 things to do. And that doesn't include the lottery tickets.
You are a weirdo. Let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From ESPN and, of course, the pride of Temple University, our man Kevin Agandi joins us. Kevin, good morning.
Are you guys actually breaking down like a Vikings loss to help the Eagles down the road?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
That's where we're at, Kevin.
Kevin, I should send you my spreadsheet, my schedule spreadsheet.
It's amazing.
Andrew thinks I'm a serial killer.
No, he is a serial killer. It's actually very concerning because there's this machine called Google that you can use. But
I can look at it I can look at one page at any moment, just touch one button, and see all the ramifications ahead. Like, I think if Washington beats the Bears with Marcus Mariota at quarterback, I think they're winning the NFC East. I think they're winning the NFC East.
You know, John, this is very random, Kevin, and I apologize. John is Big John Henry. Remember that old story, Big John Henry, the guy that built the train by himself versus the machine?
No.
John would rather build the train with his hands instead of using Google.
Now, my wife and daughter would say Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory.
I love that you're old school, and it takes me back to going to a baseball game and seeing somebody actually keeping score. So he is old school. My whole point is that was this prompted from the last 2 weeks with the way the Eagles are playing? Because I wouldn't think about any situation about other teams in the conference. I would just be worried about, hey, can we just win every single week?
So Kevin, we got into this last week, and granted, it's very early on in the season, but before the win against the Giants, John said something to me that kind of sent a shiver down my spine. And then later that day, I saw a tweet that went in line with John said. John said to me, if the Eagles don't win the division, there's a chance they don't make the playoffs. And I was like, what? And then I saw some weird, sports info tweet. The Eagles have a 30% chance of making the playoffs. I was like, well, that's going to change. But when John said it, I was like, oh, my God, do we really have to start looking at other teams in the NFC and how they play out?
I think we do. I really do.
Well, I actually have not given one thought about the idea of the playoffs. To me, it's, hey, just get right every single week. It's weird that maybe I'm taking a player's mentality of one game at a time, but the way they've looked to start the season, I'm like, it doesn't matter what other teams are doing. How about just play your style of football and look decent for 4 quarters? And we got that a little bit with the Giants. And maybe it's the first month of preseason, as I've said, that no preseason for many of these starters. So you look the first month like it's preseason. And maybe they're finally, getting comfortable in Fangio's defense. Maybe they're understanding where to be. It felt like they did. And I know people dismiss a Giants team. A Giants team has played pretty well before this game that we saw over the weekend. So I don't know. I'm more worried about this team more than I'm worried about anybody else. And guys, we could be back to square one if they don't score early against the Bengals.
Okay, what do you think that you've seen the last few weeks that you believe in, and what don't you believe in?
I felt like last week they found their identity, and that is, hey, let's run the football, and let's give Saquon the rock because he's our best player on the team. And you saw that effectively in, I think, every single one of their wins. When he has the football and he's consistently running, the team can be really unstoppable. And the identity of that team in 2022 was the line, specifically that offensive line. It's not the same as it was in 22, but it's still damn good. And it felt like they were like, you know what? We don't need to be enamored by the pass. We're going to run the football. We're going to dictate how we want the pace. Defensively, I know the Giants are beat up on the offensive line, but they got pressure. They were in the right spot. We saw some guys playing with some motivation. We saw Jalen Carter step up. I love Jalen Carter's quote after the game. It was just a building block more than anything else. The difference we've seen with the success of 2017 and 2022 is when the lines dictate the success of the team on both sides. The entire flow, that's what gave me kind of some promise.
Now, what's interesting, Kevin, you, me, John, we all think a lot alike. The problem is we're not the head coach of the football team because the head coach of the football team just 2 weeks ago said, we don't know the identity yet. No teams really know their identity after just 4 weeks. When I know that the Ravens and Lions have an identity and they know it. And he said it again yesterday that their identity changes week to week. No, your game plan can change week to week, but you should have an identity. I don't think he knows what it is yet, Kevin.
I don't know why he keeps talking like that.
That's the truth.
To be honest with you. And if that's something that's well known in the building, I wouldn't say that out loud. Like, give me a break. Mm-hmm. It's 6 weeks into the season. If you don't know the identity of your team, that's a problem. And I don't think maybe he wants to let on, but I think deep down he understands that the identity of this team is running the football and pushing forward. Quarterback's still trying to figure out things. He's holding on the ball way too long. He's got to trust his receiver's going to be there. He's got to trust the system a little bit more. I don't see that all the time. I see him trust two guys. That's it. And those are the two star wide receivers. He's got to trust everybody. He's got to throw the ball. Holding that football a little bit longer, that half a second is the difference between potentially a big gain, first down, or a potential sack, and now you're screwed. So I don't understand why the head coach continues to say this stuff about not having an identity. When they run, when they push, when they find a way to dictate the flow, the team is really, really good.
Do you believe that if this team doesn't get to where we think they should be, competing for like an NFC title game or something like that, it will be more because of roster deficiencies or deficiencies of the head coach?
I think deficiencies of the head coach. 3 of their wins are because of talent, not because of the coaching. So, I mean, the roster is really well done on the offensive side. I mean, Howie invested a ton. They're young on the defensive side in key positions, but to me, it's on the coach. I wouldn't even think about the NFC championship game. To me, it's just, man, beat the Bengals, and let's continue to kind of build this uphill climb here and figure out where they're at. Because a team like the Bengals can shock you. It could be a same situation against the Bucs. If you don't figure out what you're doing in the first quarter and your offense isn't sustaining drives, Burrow's going to keep throwing to Jamar Chase. Burrow's going to try to have the gunslinger mentality and outscore you. And it could get ugly if they don't figure it out on those first 2 or 3 drives. It could be like suddenly, like the Bucs game, you're looking up and it's 14-0, and then, now you got to play catch-up. And this team's done that way too much over the last, I'd say, 12 games.
And so I'll ask you, Kevin, we're speaking with Kevin Agandi on the Comcast Business Hotline. The first prediction that I saw for Sunday's game was CBS's Pete Prisco. He has the Bengals beating the Eagles 30-20. And, of course, we don't know how the game's going to play out. But I'm just going to ask you straight up, if the game on Sunday ends in a 30-20 defeat to the Bengals, Monday morning, are we waking up talking about how the Eagles can beat teams like the Giants and the Browns but can't beat other playoff teams?
We could, Tunis. It depends on how they lose the game.
Right.
That to me, what comes down to it. Is it you're down 30-10 and then you add some cheap 10 points? Or is it one of those Burrow on the final drive secures it, and that's the difference? To me, it's what we have to see in the 4 quarters consistently, going back and forth. Do they find a flow? Do they dictate things? Or are they basically playing catch-up the rest of the way? If they play catch-up the rest of the way, they're not a team that can, I think, overcome a 2-touchdown deficit. Not many teams can do that. I just don't think they are, because they have to, again, establish the run with their identity and push and push and push with that line, so then it opens up the opportunity for Jalen to throw the deep ball.
You've really ramped up this morning really well.
Oh, here we go.
You're like, I mean, dude, I'm really impressed because for you, who hosts 6 p.m. SportsCenter, to be able to be this good at 9 a.m. in the morning, you've really ramped up well.
Well, John, I'm actually right now at 30th Street Station catching a train back. I
love the train.
Center at Wells Fargo yesterday for the Sixers opener. And me and my buddy Tom Engel, my great producer, we were catching a train to Hartford, and then I go straight into work to do the 6P tonight. So I took him to the Reading Terminal Market this morning.
Nice.
We were there yesterday.
What was the breakfast choice?
We had a bagel, with, of course, with eggs, and then we walked around and had a donut here.
Oh, yeah.
Cajun shrimp. I introduced him to that yesterday, so he's like, hey, you okay with Cajun shrimp in the morning? I was like,
oh, I love that.
Oh,
Dude,
that's awesome.
Great. I love that.
So we had that as well. I took him to Angelo's yesterday.
Dude, you are a great man to know.
I just wonder why he couldn't jump. Why couldn't he jump center for us?
Yeah.
Well, we went to the Reading Terminal Market yesterday at 11 o'clock. I told him, don't eat anything all morning. And I said, you're going to get a Dinik's roast pork. Let's load it up. You're going to take 2 bites, and that's it. Then we're going to have a cannoli from Termini's.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to actually just sit there, and then we'll eventually go to Angelo's, get a pizza, get a cheesesteak. We'll split it all. So he had basically a taste of everything. Again, we're here for 36 hours. And then this morning, he's the one who said, hey, I won't eat anything. I'll see you at 8 in the morning. We'll go get something breakfast and we'll walk around. I was like, my guy, he's locked in.
Well, that's good. Well, the game itself, how are you feeling, Kev, with the Embiid situation? I mean, we've been trying to unpack this all day today. We feel like there's not full truth or honesty coming from the organization about the situation. Would love to just get your overall opinions and thoughts on what's going on with the big man.
I will say this. There's no more pressure on a guy this spring than on Joel Embiid and his health. He looks good. He's dropped 25 pounds. He wants to lose, I think, 10 more. He understands the big picture. So what does that mean? Just take this, Sixers fans. We all love Joel. The one thing I think Joel's figured out is individual accolades don't matter anymore. He's done all the things. He's checked all the boxes. The big difference is he knows the window is getting smaller and smaller. He wants to win a title. How do you win a title? You got to stay healthy, no freak injuries in April, May, and potentially June. Not one of us, if he's healthy, not one of us is going to be talking about October 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Now, you want to see somebody on opening day, right? Everybody does. It's that vibe. It's the old school. Like, we want to see everybody. Same way we all want to see, like, a starting rotation of 4 guys in a playoff game, and then we start to see bullpen games in Game 3 with the Dodgers, right? Things have changed. I'm not making an excuse. I just know that with this decision of not playing right now in October, the big picture is potentially we see him maybe 41 to 50 games this season to be ready for the playoffs. No one will be talking about if they have a deep run, what happened in October. And if it's successful, I think you'll see a lot of NBA teams, and the NBA is not happy about it. You'll see a lot of NBA teams kind of say, okay, that's the model. If you want to win big picture-wise with veterans that have some injury issues.
Should he have played in the Olympics?
He wants to represent the country. I would never say no to anybody that wants to represent the country.
Even if it ruins if you had a side gig, a side thing that you ended up doing that cost ESPN not being able to use you for your primary job, I got to tell you, I have an issue with that big time.
If my company allowed me to do something that I wanted to do as a passion project, I'm going to go with it as a passion project and be grateful that my company allowed me to do it. But the difference is that I don't have the power in the organization at ESPN.
So you're not joining our friend Kevin Cooney tonight at 6:00 here on the Fanatic. You're not going to call in.
There we go. Good job.
Listen, Kev, we appreciate it, man. I'm glad that you had an awesome day yesterday. Despite the Sixers game, it sounded like you guys had an awesome time yesterday, so that makes me happy.
You know what? Here's the thing. It was great to see Tyrese Maxey.
Yes.
Big picture-wise, the way Morey has constructed this roster, I really, really like it if they're healthy, and that's always the question, with Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid coming in April, and hopefully we're talking in May, and hopefully we're talking in June.
Kevin,
thank you, buddy.
You're the man. We appreciate it as always. I'll talk to you next week.
Fellas, be good.
Thanks, man.
There he is, Kevin Negandhi on the Comcast Business Hotline.
A very full Kevin Negandhi.
Very full.
That sounds like a great eating 48 hours.
Well, you know my previous life when Anthony and I would do the show before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
from
yes.
the Reading Terminal Market.
Yes.
And it was my job to try everything and finish everything. Dude, I would leave that place 50 pounds heavier than when I walked.
I love Reading Terminal Market so much because when we would come up and visit, we stayed downtown, and we would walk every day to from the hotel to the market. And I just love...
What hotel?
I love so we would stay at the DoubleTree on the corner of Broad and Locust.
Because the Lowe's was where our wedding hotel was.
Oh, okay.
And
we did Broad
right
Locust
there.
because we would usually be doing either a dad-daughter Eagles game or something, or going to a Phillies game. So we wanted to have the subway station right there.
Smart.
To be able to take that down. So, what a great place.
You know what's... This is a sad thing to say.
What's sad?
Because you know how much I love Joel.
You do. You do.
Burning passion. All right? Love me back, Joe. There will come a time where it's going to be nice to not have to worry about if we're healthy.
Yep.
That does not mean I want him traded.
Exactly.
That does not mean I'm wishing that they didn't extend him. I'm talking 5 years from now, because I do believe your best chance of winning an NBA title is with Joel Embiid. There will be a time 5-6 years from now, as long as you're good. Obviously, I don't want another process. As long as you're good, there will be a time where it's nice to not have to wonder if we're healthy.
I think it's exhausting.
It is. Like the Celtics.
I think it's absolutely exhausting.
The Celtics, look, a twisted ankle could happen at any point, but they're not relying on big men down low. They're relying on guys. They shot, how many threes the other day?
They made 29, and they missed their last 13.
Right, which is crazy.
But
they took 61 threes, I'm pretty sure it was. Let me double check that. But they don't rely on a big man, and unfortunately Joel Embiid does have continuous injuries, especially with his knees. And that's not going to go away anytime soon. I mean, the life of Bill Walton.
Well,
right? We know that.
I wonder, though, is that to me, it's
61 threes.
It's the idea is, okay, so if he was injured, now I'm going to ask this question. Boy, this is going to be a can of worms. So he was injured in the Knicks series. Mm-hmm. And it's obvious, I mean, even Keith Pompey talked about earlier, it's obvious that he was still banged up this summer and went and played in the Olympics, and it's not good enough to play yet for his first job. Then when did the contract extension come? And why was there a crazy desire?
Yeah,
look, if he's on a knee that is already saying you can't play back to back, you can't do all these things.
But you signed Paul George, you committed to it. You had to do it.
No, you didn't. You had 2 more years of Joel Embiid. It wasn't going anywhere. There was no need to do the extension.
I hear what you're saying.
No, you're shrugging your shoulders at me, Gunn. You had 2 more years. So what's
they committed to Paul George. They have to win now with Embiid.
Okay,
it's win now or
you
don't
had
at all.
Embiid under contract for 2 years.
Right, which what John's saying.
So there was no rush to go.
But he's not going to be happy, and you know how he is when he's not happy.
Oh, like maybe he's not showing up for work. Not ready to come to work.
I would
I'm
imagine.
I'm just saying. What's the rush?
That they did their due diligence before they gave the contract extension. That's
then the due diligence they did would have told them that he wouldn't have been ready to start the year.
Well, maybe they knew that and they were okay with it.
Oh my gosh.
They may have been, John. They may have been okay with it.
That's crazy. And for everybody who has courtside seats,
well,
that's crazy.
And again, if you're Daryl Morey, are you thinking about the fans or are you thinking about what can I do to best look?
Then explain. Explain the plan. Don't say there's a plan.
And hopefully we speak with Daryl Morey at some point and we can ask him about the plan. All right, coming up next, our man Michael Westwood will join us around 9:35.
He had a big weekend.
He had a big weekend last week. And question for you guys. Eagles defense we're very happy with, right? You assume? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Do you wish the Eagles forced more turnovers? And there's a reason why I asked that question. and I'll give you some stats from Ruben Frank, who always has great ones.
He's awesome.
Coming up next, it's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
No Paul George, no Joel Embiid, and no win. I'm Brendan Gunn, and this update is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check.
Presented to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
It is 9:31 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. So we have our man Michael Westwood coming up at 9:35. He's going to help us win some money this weekend. John, he had a great weekend last weekend, and apparently our listeners won some money too. They gave him a call. So we'll talk to Michael coming up in a few minutes. Random question for you. So I saw another photo of the LeBron and Bronny debut the other night. And look, again, I think it's cool, even though I agree with you.
I don't find
he shouldn't be there.
I think it's funny as the event, that moment fell flat on America.
I know.
Completely
because
fell flat.
Everyone realizes,
because it was orchestrated.
Everyone realizes.
Right.
Yeah. So my question for you is not the moment, but my eyes on the people behind them. I saw in that little photo.
Yeah,
again,
the little
not
photo.
Whole stadium, the little photo. 5 people wearing Bronny James Jr. jerseys.
Mm-hmm. They were family.
No, there were people that were not family members. It was individual spots. There were people that bought LeBron James Jr. jerseys. Why would you waste your money?
Because I think they were guests.
Okay.
I think they were guests. Like plants in the crowd.
Look, that could very well be true. But there's probably somebody out there. We probably have a listener right now that's like, oh, I bought one. Like,
I think that's a cool jersey, dude.
What?
Why?
It's funny as hell to wear. Like, it's just a novelty item. It's not like something that you're representing your favorite player.
I would rather buy the LeBron James jersey.
Buy a LeBron James jersey, one of the greatest athletes in any sport of any time.
But everybody has that. Only 5 people have the Bronny James Jr. jersey.
You know why? Because one's just a jobs program of dad where the kid has no right to be in the NFL.
Like, I know people buy gimmicky jerseys all the time. Like, this is nothing new.
Like, you don't laugh when you see like a Broderick Bunkley jersey down at a tailgate. Like,
hey,
it's
I had
Broderick Bunkley jersey. Broderick Bunkley earned his way into the NFL. Broderick Bunkley Sr. didn't get his son a contract.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I just find it interesting. Like, why would you buy that jersey? Is it just to say that you have one? Like, is that what that is?
Yes, you're trying to be odd. It's so contrived. The whole thing was so contrived.
Who doesn't like an underdog story? A kid that was
underdog story.
I'll appreciate it though. That yesterday they're saying they had enough national analysts on going, yeah, the story didn't get the same.
Yeah.
I think comparing it to Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr.
It's ridiculous.
Was a freaking disgrace.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Was a disgrace. It's a joke. And so we'll see.
All right, real quick before we get to our man Michael Westwood. So I asked the question going to the break. We're happy with the Eagles' defense so far, but would you like them to get more turnovers?
Yes.
Of course. So, Reuben Frank did a great piece on this, and some of the notes from it that I'll give you. They're 7th in points allowed, 9th in yards allowed, which is good.
Okay, the 9th in yards allowed shocks me.
5th in sacks, 6th on third down, 2nd in red zone. But they have faced 353 offensive plays so far this year, and they only have 2 takeaways. This is the first time since 1937.
Oh, my God.
The Eagles have forced 2 or fewer takeaways through week 6. They're only the 7th team since 1940 with 2 or fewer takeaways after 6 games. The Raiders this year also have 2. You don't necessarily want to be in the same conversation as the Vegas Raiders.
No, you
the
do
Raiders
not.
stink. Now, again, the Eagles' defense has been tremendous this year. Can they keep up with that without forcing turnover?
No. You got to turn the ball over. And usually when you have a bad turnover year, it usually corrects itself.
Mm-hmm. The next year, you did that. I remember you gave us those numbers.
Yeah. It's like usually they shift. I think the turnovers are about to come.
Yeah, I think Quinyon
really
Mitchell's getting very close.
I think Quinyon Mitchell's going to start to do that. I believe CJGJ, who has been subpar, he's really been – that's the shocking thing.
Yeah, he's had a bad season.
If I had told you in August, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, it's going to look like a bad signing 6 games in. You would have gone, what?
Yeah, not only is he not getting turnovers himself, he's literally taking 2 away from Quinyon Mitchell.
And he's getting toasted. Like he's having a bad year. He's had a few plays, but
I
expect all that to swing back.
Yeah.
I do think the turnovers are coming.
Okay, and they might need to.
Joe Burrow has only thrown 2 interceptions, though, so
might not be this week.
All
right, John, you want to win some money?
I love it when we win money.
Let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. And it's always a big day for our man Michael Westwood from GBIWins.com. That's all this guy does is win. You got to call his number, 1-800-885-2525. That is the free recorded line. Again, 1-800-885-2525. And Michael, before we even get into what you're going to be giving our audience today, how about we talk about last week? You had the parlay going for us, and it hit.
Guys, I don't want to brag. I'm not a bragger, but come on, man. That's 2-0. I told you I would guarantee 2-0, or I'd give you the month for free. Obviously, I don't have to give the month away because Denver and Virginia Tech came in strong. But I'm doing something totally different this evening. I'm going to hand you 2-0 once again. Tonight is my NFC North game of the year. What does that mean? Over the last 31 years, guys, you know it, I'm 27-4. The Vikings are playing the Rams, and I've got the winner of that game on my free recorded comp line. So all you have to do right now is dial 1-800-885-2525. That's 1-800-885-2525. You'll be connected to my free recorded hotline where you're going to get these winners absolutely free. It's easy. It's free. There's no sales pitches. There's no hype. Guys, do you know last week your listeners, over 1,500 people called in to my office to get my free information. As a bonus and a thank you to those guys, my first 250 callers this morning, right now, I'm also going to give my college game, which is, I'm going to be at the game with 7 of my largest clients. Seven guys will be there with me. Syracuse is playing Pittsburgh, so I'm going to bundle it together as my 2-team games. Vikings playing the Rams and Syracuse playing Pittsburgh, and it's all on my free recorded comp line.
When is the sweet spot for a handicapper to feel like you've got enough data in the bank that you're even more confident about your picks? Late October, early November? Is this the sweet spot?
You know what? It's right now. Week 8 heading in right now. I mean, I hate to say it again, but, you know, we do a lot of stats, and we know what's going on around the country. The public has still been getting killed. But we know a way of going opposite the bookmakers. I want you guys to try me out. It's not going to cost you a penny. I'm going to give you the winner of tonight's Vikings and Rams. Remember, that's my NFC North game of the year. And I'm also going to give for my 250 people who call up right now the winner of Syracuse and Pittsburgh. We'll go 2-0 tonight. There's no doubt about it.
And just so people know, you've been doing this for over 40 years. And not only do you have the free recorded line where you can call the number right now, 1-800-885-2525, you also have your Platinum Club, which you told us about last week. We were pretty upset that you held that from us. You went 9-1 with that Platinum group. So I'd say you had a pretty good weekend overall last week.
Yeah, we absolutely dominated the last week. And, again, I'm not holding anything back from you guys. You guys are my boys, no doubt about it. Again, you're right. We went 9-1 last week. Out of the 10 games, 3 of them were my Platinum plays. Guys, get involved with me, okay? It's very, very simple. Stop handicapping on your own. You're not going to win by playing parlays, 10-team parlays, reverses. You're not going to win that way. Play my information. I eat, sleep, and drink this stuff. Like you said, I've been in the business 40 years. I know how to beat the bookmakers against the point spread on any given game day. All you have to do now is dial 1-800-885-2525. Again, that's 1-800-885-2525. Get my NFC North game of the year, plus my college football game, Syracuse playing Pittsburgh. It's all free. It's all on me. Just give me a call now.
Michael Westwood from GBIWins.com. Mike, you're the best. We appreciate it. You killed it the last couple of weeks that we've been able to talk to you, and we expect that to continue. Thanks, man.
Absolutely, guys. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, again, the phone number, 1-800-885-2525, 1-800-885-2525, and you get tonight's game between the Rams and the Vikings. Yeah, 9-1's a pretty good week.
I'm going to have to find out. I'm going to have to text him offline. I'm going to call the number because I've had a weird feeling all week about this Rams-Vikings game.
It's only a 2.5-point line for a team that only has 1 loss this season and is coming off of a loss.
It's just strange to me, and maybe it's because, and my buddy was telling me yesterday, it's because of my bias, because I keep predicting that the Vikings are going to finish in last place.
Well, they are flying out to L.A. I know it's Minnesota to L.A. It's not Philly to L.A., but there is something to that still. I mean, it's still a time difference for them.
I think there's going to be a heftier crowd in L.A. tonight, so I think they're going to have some fans.
Are they the fake ones?
No, they're going to have some Viking fans. They do hire some.
I wonder if it was going to be the hired actors that the Eagles went up against.
Oh, yes.
The year of the Super Bowl.
And they just keep changing the jerseys.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. All right, coming up next, we have the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. And we'll sneak in some text messages as well. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning. We're almost done for the day, and then tomorrow's Friday, Johnny. 97.5 The Fanatic.
The best show ever.
The Fanatic Mike Missanelli show coming your way at 10 o'clock. We'll get to the key three in about a minute, but I want to run something by you here, Johnny.
Okay, what's that?
3 of 4, 6 points, 8 assists, 5 boards, 6 turnovers. Whose stat line did I just read?
I don't know.
He's back.
Oh, no.
Quote, I think people forget me as a player when I'm healthy. I'm pretty good.
That's
Ben
Ben?
Simmons.
I'll tell you, though, there's an interesting – the 6 turnovers is the one that stood out to me.
6 turnovers.
I know that a friend of mine runs the sports station out in L.A.,
Yeah.
and I saw their timeline this morning, and people were like, Harden's cooked. Harden's cooked. So I was wondering, I'm like, well, Harden couldn't have scored that little of points.
I got to give him
like,
credit. He took that team to overtime with all the players out.
Yeah, they're like...
He was 29, 12, and 8.
He's a polarizing figure.
He's not cooked.
It was like, Harden's cooked.
29, 12, and 8 in 40 minutes.
I didn't even look.
Well, I was watching that game, and he took him to. I fell asleep when it was in the fourth quarter. He took him to overtime. What are they talking about?
I have no idea, but he's a polarizing figure for their station.
But it's not. Ben Simmons. Ben
Simmons.
The revenge tour started off on a great note for him yesterday.
There we go.
All right, it's time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade and
Presented by Bounty Brewing Company.
Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
But it's time to turn our attention to Eagles-Bengals. And, John, you were talking about this before the show. And I'm with you, brother. I have no feel in this game either.
I got to tell you, I can't remember going back further where I have no feel for a game. And part of it is the opponent, because I truly don't know what the Bengals are. They've been a mixed bag. They've been a mixed bag for a few years now. And I don't think I know what the Eagles are versus a strong opponent on the road. We're going to find out. But I'm very optimistic. I'm very optimistic. It's not like I have a feeling of negativity towards the game, but I have a feeling of just like there's like a fog of not knowing what to expect.
Right.
And I hate that. That's the worst part. Like, I can tell. I mugged this morning the Flyers. Look, I can tell. And I didn't have any expectations of the Flyers being a good team this year. So to me, it's no big deal. For the Eagles, not knowing late October bothers me. The Sixers have no urgency. There's no urgency about anything that they do. There's no urgency about, we're not going to tell you what's going on with Joel Embiid. We're going to just, we're going to take it easy, and it's a long season, and we're ramping up. We're talking about a big man with an issue that they say is not injured.
Right.
They're not serious. They're not a serious organization with this stuff.
Is this Sunday a measuring stick game for you when it comes to Jalen Hurts, because he is going up against Joe Burrow? So the conversations on social media have been interesting, John, because a lot of people like to compare Hurts with Burrow, Hurts with Allen. There's always comparisons.
Do you have and just to set a groundwork for the conversation, you don't have a problem with that, right?
No, I don't have a problem with it.
Because they should compare them.
Right, but
he's paid like them.
Yep.
He's a franchise quarterback like them. He should be compared to them.
But the comparisons are always different depending on what people are trying to say. My comparison to Jalen Hurts to Joe Burrow means nothing, because the Eagles will win by playing their style of football, or they'll lose if they go against the style of football that I believe that they're doing. So I'm going to stand by it. I'm not using this Sunday's game as some sort of measuring stick, because I don't want to try to put Jalen Hurts in some sort of stratosphere that I don't think he belongs. Right? I don't think Jalen Hurts is a quarterback that I want to drop back 40 times a game and try to win you a football game. I want this offense more simplified. I want this offense to be a run-first offense. I want him to be careful with the football. Whereas a guy like Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, they can try to take some couple of risks because I think that their arms allow them to do that. So, no, I am not using it as a measuring stick game for Jalen Hurts, but I imagine a lot of people are. From ESPN, and, of course, the pride of Temple University, our man Kevin Agandi joins us. Kevin, good morning.
Are you guys actually breaking down like a Viking loss to help the Eagles down the road?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
That's where we're at, Kevin.
Kevin, I should send you my spreadsheet, my schedule spreadsheet.
It's amazing.
Andrew thinks I'm a serial killer.
No, he is a serial killer. It's actually very concerning.
Tyrese Maxey is a truth teller. He isn't going to get up there and lie. He told the truth. He just told everybody there. Didn't have him in the preseason. We didn't have him for all of training camp.
Most of training camp.
Yeah, most of training camp.
Because they did the excursion training camp.
Yeah, exactly. Now, guess what? You're a truth teller, Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, so, look, is Joel Embiid hurt?
So what's he ramping up towards? He's not ramping towards anything.
No, I know. And so that's the scary part of this conversation when people try to poo-poo the fact that he's out just for the first 3 games of the season. There's probably something going on. Now, again, I'm trying to keep myself grounded because if he ends up playing 55 games, play 55 games, Johnny. But I understand why anybody would hear that, especially you, Sherlock John, and go, we got a problem on our hands. All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 presented by Von C Brewing Company. Check them out, vonCbrewing.com, or at their location in Norristown.
And you have Uncle Jerry's Wit, the Belgian style, the Stony Creek East Coast IPA, which we both would like to try.
And that's just it, right? Hops. It's just those two. Oh, I know.
Oh, no, then there's the Helles Golden Lager. It's like direct from Munich, right in the middle of Norristown. You'll love it.
You know what's horrible?
Visit vonCbrewing.com, which is not horrible.
You know, because the phone always listens. I had videos of Munich yesterday on my timeline.
See, that's what it is,
I'm not joking. I had Munich because it listens. It hears German John over here. And then all of a sudden, I got Munich videos.
If you cannot afford to go to Munich this year, travel a little tight, then just go to Norristown. That's what I would say, you Dunkoff.
Oh, man.
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Don't be dumb with that. Don't be a Dunkoff. Join our generous partners, FT Young Heating and Air Conditioning, and make a donation today to the AACR, the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. We both have lunch dates with our wives.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
That's a good day. That's a good day.
Real quick, the Get Up crew of Dan Orlovsky, Jason McCourty, Harry Douglas, and Greeny, they did their picks today.
And?
3 of them picked the Bengals. Jason McCourty picked the Eagles.
McCourty picked him. McCourty looks smart.
Let's go, Jason McCourty. All right, everybody have a great rest of your day. Brendan, thank you. Great job filling in for Connor today. You enjoy your way. It's wedding weekend.
My gosh.
Because Brendan's got one.
Who's scheduling weddings during football season?
Yeah, I got to go to New York with the Yankees in the World Series. So much fun.
No, good luck to you.
You were in Boston when the Celtics won, weren't you?
Yes, it was awful.
Dude, you are a beacon of light for other cities. My God. We'll have Tom Alvord